What's up, and welcome back to the channel. You were listening to Ninja Night. This is Chatterbox number 22. Thank you for joining me here on a Friday night. Thanks again. And I always say it to everybody that watches this after the fact, the last stream is at over 3,000 views. That's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers to think that this channel is getting 3,000 views on a stream. That's nuts. I honestly can't put into words how much I appreciate that. And also then the fact that people are actually tuning in and listening to me ramble for a couple of hours about what's going on in the world at large, and obviously then, most importantly, what's happening in Ireland. So I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much as well, because I always love to start out with these things, thanking everybody that's in the chat, thanking to everybody that's watching. Thank you to everybody that's a member of the channel, that's supporting the channel, that's following me on the different social media apps. That's really important also. I really appreciate that, and I can't say that enough, that I appreciate all of the support that I get. And it's very difficult when I don't do a stream, because I see people that are like, oh no, I was looking forward to it tonight. You don't know how much that actually kills me, to be honest with you. And I'm like, oh, I hate letting people down. But sometimes things just get in the way, and that's life, I suppose. And life is to be lived, and that's very much so important than ever now. I think when you look at what's happening in life now, I suppose the life that we're living, and it is important to know and remember. I've seen a lot of people over the last couple of weeks become a little bit black-pilled, where they're getting a bit down about things. Look, be positive is my message. Be super positive. Ireland, we are a country that toppled the British Empire. We will topple what's going on here. And when I say that, I am talking about legally, safely, respectfully, peacefully. And I think when you look at what's happened in Holland over the last 2 weeks, which is Dutch farmers have gathered together. They have decided to run in elections. They've now won elections, and they are going to take up seats in government. That's the way to do things, and they are leading the way. The Dutch are doing fantastic things. You're also seeing the French, because they want to talk about the globe. Okay, I'll talk about the globe, no problem at all. Look at what's going on over in France. The French are out protesting now. What is it, 2-3 weeks at this stage? To be quite honest with you, the French haven't stopped protesting in something like the last 4 or 5 years. Amazing stuff. It's brilliant to see the people and the energy that's there. I've seen an Irish flag joining the protesters in France, and I was like, that's absolutely hilarious, I have to be honest. And these type of things are going on around the world. You're seeing New Zealand making moves as well. Also, you're seeing Australia now start to backpedal and backtrack and start to try and point fingers at different people and blame different people. You're seeing the very same here. I have to give a big shout out, because this is what I have to do. Because when you see good journalism, and I say good journalism that should be the standard for what you're seeing across every different media company here in Ireland. The questions that Ben Scallon has been putting to members of government in the last number of months have been fantastic. You know that I like Ben. You know that I like his style. You know that I like what he does. And I think it comes as no surprise. Now, I'm not going to be able to show the videos tonight, but I do highly recommend viewing the videos that Grip Media have put up there of Ben asking the questions, because I don't know. I'll be quite honest with you. I'm not sure if they'd copyright strike or anything like that. I'm not sure. I have been critical of John McGurk before, so I'm not sure about that. But I would highly recommend having a look at those videos. And if you haven't seen them already, they are up on social media. I would absolutely implore you to go on social media. It's highly important, no matter what age you are. I know some people to be sitting there and they're saying, I'm 60 years of age, 70 years of age. Get someone to put you on social media and get you into the groups and into these things, so you can see what's going on. Because the questions that he's been putting to the politicians over the last number of months have been phenomenal, and the reactions. Here's the thing. You've got the media at the moment, and this is what they're doing. They're doing it all over social media, and they're doing it as well too on their own stations. They're talking about left and right people. And more so, they're talking about, oh, the left people are the good guys. I would sincerely disagree there. They're talking about right people, far right. And they're saying, oh, we can't believe that these people are holding a position of power and influence. What are you talking about? It's been relentless leftism for the last number of decades. And I mean relentless, pushing everything as hard as they can. And now they're getting uppity, because this is what's happening. They're getting uppity because a number of people have gathered together on the likes of platforms like these and other platforms that have said, no, I'm not having this anymore. Mainstream media complexes that are having problems because average, normal people are going, that's nonsense. And I saw a video 2 weeks ago. I was going to talk about it last week, but I'll talk about it now. And it was a video of Tucker Carlson. Now, you're all familiar who he is. You're familiar that he works for Fox. And whatever opinion you have of Fox and CNN, be that your opinion. But he sat there, and I'm not sure what age Tucker is. I presume he's over the age of 40, possibly even 50. And he's talking to guys on a podcast. And what was amazing to me was he was sitting there and he was like, I couldn't believe that the media was actually pushing certain things and telling people what to think and how to think. And sometimes they were the things that they were pushing weren't even true. And the guys are sitting there in the podcast and they're laughing at him. They're like, right, Tucker, yeah. Because these guys are 20 and they're 30 and they understand. Now, that's the important part of what's happening right now. And this is no shade at people. When I say shade, people are like, what's this newfound lingo that you were talking about there, kid? I'm talking about, I'm not taking an aim. I'm not taking any sort of comments or aiming them negatively at people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I understand what has happened to you. And now you understand what has happened to you. You were told certain things by the media over a number of years, and now with your own two eyes, you're viewing things and going, hang on here, I'm not really sure about that. I don't think that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. And that's what's happened now. So people that are in their 30s and their 20s have already broken that cycle now of looking at media. Not all, I will say that. There are a number of people that are young that still believe in what's happened over the last couple of years. But those people now have broken that cycle. It's impossible to get those people back. And that's why the future, and this is exactly why over the last couple of weeks, the government have talked an awful lot about kids. And particularly people that are not able to procreate are talking about kids because they need new leaders for their movements going forward. But what they've done is they've awoken a dragon, and they've woken up many dragons around the world because people have said, that's what you want to do? You're not going to be doing it here. And things are starting to turn. France is very interesting. I think New Zealand, as I said, and Australia is interesting. And even here now in Ireland, there's been some very interesting stuff. From to go back on to what Ben Scanlon was doing, Ben Scanlon asked about this Barbie Kardashian character. This is an individual that's not of this country, just to be clear on that again, that was up for, I think it was a serious, you can't have to talk around on this platform, it's nonsense. The sooner Rumble get this stuff open on their platform, the better, because you can talk freely over there. But this person was in there for doing heinous things, and they were talking about possibly putting this individual into a woman's prison. Now, just as a spoiler here, that's a man, right? And they wanted to put that fella into a woman's prison. And it took gripped media to be like, excuse me, is that a man or is that a woman? And for Edgar, the picture that's there is hilarious because the video in itself where Micheál Martin throws his eyes up to heaven, and when I say throw his eyes up to heaven, I don't know if that fella believes at all, because with what he's done, I mean, very suspect individual, I'd say, at the very least. But then you see other people that are around, and what has happened previously with the likes of Pascal. Pascal didn't know what to be doing and saying when he was saying, where did you put that money there, Pascal? And for Edgar then is saying, well, men are men and women are women. You know, that's what we've been saying, Leo. You know, are you down in the polls by any chance in the last couple of weeks? Yeah, that radical stuff that you're pushing, along with the likes of the Roderick O'Gorman fella, it's not doing well, is it? What was Eamon Ryan up to for Paddy's Day? Flew to China. Oh, well, could he not have done that trip on Zoom? No. What about all of his carbon footprint and all going across there? What's he doing? He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He's over there looking like Ace Ventura. This is a sitting government TD. Listen, guys, I think it's more clear now than ever that you can run for election against all of these clowns and take their seats. That's exactly what needs to be happening now. And a big movement happened this week, and I'm going to talk about Derek Bloig, and I'm going to talk about him at large as well, because this is a guy that's been doing fantastic stuff. And also, something that's happened to him this week is completely and utterly criminal, in my humble opinion. And I'm sure he is going to seek out the opinion and the advice of a solicitor very soon due to what happened. We'll show you tonight on this stream. But there's a lot of movement going on in the world. And like I keep saying to people, you got to keep an eye on what happened with the sniffles, because when people are held accountable for that, that is when things are going to be interesting. Now, I know as well as you do, to hold everybody accountable for the sniffles is incredibly difficult. And here's why. Because the entire civilization and social world that we live in basically comes and changes ultimately. Because when you have people in the banking sector, in health, in politics, in entertainment, All of those things that are basically the linchpins for how things are kept the way they are at the moment, when they're all caught and are tried and convicted for what they've done, there's none of them left. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go from here. I think that we will see a big nationalist surge across the world. I do think that you're going to see, with the likes of the conversations that are happening surrounding banks at the moment, I think you're going to start seeing these people try to move their. I think they're going to try and move into their positions a lot quicker than they thought they were going to. They're running out of runway now at the moment, and this is why you're seeing banks collapsing all around the place. They're mad to get this central bank digital currency in, this CBDC. Mad for that. You might say, Ninja, this is one thing that I've never been a fan of, is this Bitcoin. People going, use Bitcoin. I get the idea of it. I like the idea of it. I like the idea of decentralization. I like the idea of you being able to do your own thing and not being able to poke their nose into that. I like it. However, you're talking about a digital coin. Yes. Well, that's where these people want to go, because they want everything to be digital so that they can track your each and every movement. And if you say sometimes likes of social media or anywhere else, even through text or on WhatsApp, they want to know that, and then they're going to say, yeah, we don't like what you said there. We're not having that. And you're stopped. Look at what's going on with Enoch Bork at the moment. They are actually attempting now to seize his assets. This is where it's going next. I think he has something over €28,000 worth of fines that have been brought up because he's turned up to work. And here's an interesting thing, because I'll be talking about it here tonight, is there's been a new twist in that tale, which, to be quite honest with you, it goes to show you the banana republic that we live in, lads, when this thing got as far as it did. But I think the fact that he's held his morals and his principles highest above anything has really sent a beacon of light out to everybody around the place, because it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see. So what I'll do is I'll jump into the chat, say hello. Oh my God, imagine just seeing the chat there. It's 178 comments. Lads, I appreciate the support. It's going to get to a point in time now where I'm not going to be able to read the chat seriously. So listen, I say it every week. Thanks very much to everybody that jumps into the chat and says hello. And let me know in the chat if you have a question or if you have a comment or anything like that by doing @NinjaKnight. It lets me scan through the chat a lot quicker later on, because I like to try and get into the chat as much as possible. I know it's going to get more and more difficult with the more people that we have in here, but I do want to try it as best I can, because, I have to keep reminding myself, not that I do have to keep reminding myself, because you guys are fantastic. I have to keep remembering that you guys are absolutely fantastic and you're here every week, and it's very much so appreciated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in here, and I see Sean Mack says, Emmanuel Godson, good evening. Borrow 1014. Johnny, man, what's up with that? Sends a 10. Very much so appreciated. Seriously appreciated there, though. Let's have a look now throughout this. I'm after making a bit of a hames here of what I'm after doing here. I'm after scanning on this. I'm after zooming in on the laptop. You'd easily know that this is a Clown War production. Let's have a look. Derek Man says, I'm a team man myself. I'd settle for solving Ireland's problems. The impossible, I can't do it all at once. Miracles do take longer. What have I done with relation to that there? This is how you know this is a Gonzo production. Jerome Reedy says, hello, everyone, mods, ninja, etc. Have a good night. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. We see Derek Man says, St. Patrick's Day parade was just a display of rainbow stuff, in my opinion. Yeah, well, the Patrick's Day one was interesting, and I saw Philip Dwyer stream, and I think, look, my opinion on things, and my opinion is this, is that I want to support law and order, and I do support law and order as much as possible. But when you see the Gardaí very interested in stopping people from attending the St. Patrick's Day parade with the idea of protesting it and having their say, you've jumped the shark there, lads. You've done a very, very negative thing that people are not going to forget about. So I don't think that that's going to look good for them going forward. I think there's an awful lot of people that have pointed out, for example, the likes of the French there in the last 24 hours. The police that are there have now put down their helmets, and they've decided that they're going to step up and in with the people. So I think that that's seriously important, and I think that that is excellent. But how long is it going to be until the Gardaí do the same here? They are facing more problems now than ever. They're facing more problems with people that are not thinking an awful lot like you and I, which is there's a lot of people out there that are hardened criminals coming into this country, because here's the thing. This country is open doors. And when you're open doors, those other countries are not sending their best. They're like, this fella's out of jail, is he? Great, off you go. A lot of these people that are coming here have been doing sketchy stuff in the past, And we'll see it tonight as well too. There's a Ukrainian group on Facebook that are actively talking to each other and telling each other what a soft touch Ireland is. Now, of course, it doesn't seem like that group is being monitored at all. It doesn't seem like those people are being caught out at all, which I find to be very strange. And I think all of us do, don't we? We find all these things that are happening in our beautiful country to be very strange, and that these people are getting away with it to be absolutely outrageous. Now, just give me a second. I'm going to keep going through the chat here. We've got Derek McManus, Richard McKeviton here says, "Love bar of a 101 forces. Hope all's doing well. Thanks very much. Much appreciated." Can't understand what I'm after doing there. I'm after zooming in here on this thing, and now the screen is a lot bigger than normal. Oh my god. Morningstar says, "Question Ninja, does Ireland get paid for taking in immigrants, and can we stop taking them?" Someone said a certain group pays for everything. It's very possible, and here's the thing, it's all down to money. I mean, a lot of these people that are living in affluent areas, they're not taking these people into their areas. They're not overrun with these people. And something we found out that was interesting during the week, a lot of people are talking about the familial ties of the likes of Paul Murphy. Have a look at him and see who he's related to. He's related to a former journalist for RTE. I think it was his uncle. So there's, and I think, was it his father? Paul Murphy's father, I think, was the CEO for the Mars company. You know, coming from money. So all these fellas and ladies that are out there promoting leftism are all people that come from money. It's no surprise. And then you see Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin are getting absolutely roasted on social media. It's great to see, because people are like, "Nah, you're sellouts too. You're all part of the one party." I think it's fantastic to see. I've not seen anything like it before. But I think there's going to be a crossover into the real world pretty soon, where you're going to have parties that are going to run and going to say, "Right, I'm having enough of this now. I'm not taking this anymore." And I think that's where we have to go. I think you need to see people now starting to run in different areas and in different, I think, elections, and getting together and saying, "Right, we can win this one over here." I mean, look at the votes that some of these people tallied up there. 15th count there for Simon Harris, easily beatable. Leo Varadkar, 5th count. What was it? 8,000 votes that he got. That's beatable in my view. Micheál Martin, similar enough. It's very doable. Fergus Powers in here says, "Evening, you beautiful Patriots. Ninja Knight, great to have you back, brother. Not long in from doing an information drop by Houston Station. Some amount of footfall out there. Great spot for it. Excellent. Well done, Fergus." Fergus has been on, he's been on the, how can I say? He's been on the front lines when it comes to this. And when I say that, I mean that he was very important in gathering more attention to the Enoch Burke situation, because here's the thing, and something that I find interesting about the French. The French have kicked off now for the last number of years, as you know. The Irish people are only really starting now, and that has taken a very long time. And in my view, when that happened to Enoch Burke, there should have been loads of people outside that place daily, and fair play to Fergus. Fergus was out there. And to me, that's a sign of someone that would be someone I would be interested in voting for, because that's a guy that's like, "No, holding my morals and principles, I'm going to drive forward, and here's what's right and here's what's wrong." I think it's great. Irish Info Warrior says, "Next peaceful assembly Sunday, March 26th, courthouse 2 p.m. Carrick McCross taking a stand. Make our streets safe again. Protect our children." Carrick McCross says no. Mario Godson's in here. Says, "Hello, fellas. Good to see you." Leanne Corder says, "Good evening tonight. August got dinner. Hope that you're all well. My dear Corja." Awesome. Great to see. We'll be talking about Mullingar as well here tonight as well. That's one of the first videos that we have up. So what I'll do is I'll jump in here. I'm doing a little bit of a different one here tonight, because what I'm doing is I'm jumping into Twitter. I know that I was saying to you before, and I do, and I will hold myself to it. I will be back on Gab. I'm going to be on Gab here tonight. But what it's easier to do sometimes is just link these videos from Twitter and show you exactly what's going on over there. There's also one image that I want to show you that to me is pretty incriminating, and it's going to be incriminating, I think, going forward. And I hope this is a big one, and he's actually publicly posted it too. So let's see things go. Let's have a look. Actually, page seems to be looking okay to me. It does. It's obviously the StreamYard one that looks a bit strange. So we'll talk about this now in a moment. What I want to do is I want to show you the most important one first. So we'll get down to it. Now, this is the only thing about Twitter. Twitter is absolutely junk when it comes to these things. It takes ages, and he's decided to do it today. See how slow this is. I get onto Derek Lloyd there as well too. There's the pictures. Get to it. Don't worry. Uganda has done some interesting stuff today we'll talk about that. That's another one that's been absolutely fascinating to watch. This is the one. So what we have here is Micheál Martin. Look who he's with. This is coming from March 15th. This has to go into the evidence. This has to go into the file for evidence, doesn't it? You're hearing the media talking about the Gardaí are putting together a number of people who are unhappy with the invasion, the second plantation. That's what they're calling it. They're calling the plantation 2.0. How dare they? Yeah, your ancestors would have knelt down in front of Cromwell, no problem at all. My ancestors, not so much. They wouldn't have at all, is what I'm going to say there. They would have held similar views, I suppose, to Michael Collins. Anyway, when you're looking at these things here, you should be seeing, if we had a police force, when I say police force, now some people don't like that way of saying things, but certainly if you had a number of individuals in there that took this stuff seriously and have indeed, listen, I know a number of people now at this stage of the game that have had issues. I know people as well that have fallen asleep and have not gotten up. Lance Reddick, we're going to talk about him tonight. That's another interesting one that also happened during the week that they kind of want to scoot on past. I saw Lawrence Fishburne's face, and I'm telling you now, these people are starting to become freaked out. These people, and it's going to take one or two of them, that are going to come out and be like, yeah, we knew something was up, and there is something up, because they're going to have to start talking pretty soon. But here is something to me that is seriously incriminating. Good to meet the group beginning with Pete. Now, let's remember that this group is a group with massive fines for criminal behaviour in the past. And you have the tarnished, the former Taoiseach, the Mr. Burns lookalike individual here, the fellow you wouldn't pick in a five-a-side, noodle arms here, standing here with this guy over here. Now, this is a fella that couldn't answer questions to people that were real journalists, that are real journalists, that were hanging around Switzerland. Rebel in the name. You know who I'm talking about. Read between the lines there and that one. Wouldn't answer questions. Has now admitted, doesn't seem like this stuff works as intended, guys. Well, that's fraud, isn't it? We're using not the ones that saying this was super duper effective, was gone totally working on it. Well, that's fraudulent what you've just done and said there. People seem to not take that very seriously. This absolutely needs to be taken seriously. This is a huge problem. Now, look at this here, because I'm also going to show you this here. CEO Albert in New York today. Do you know that the requirement to enter America of taking this nonsense is still in play? But if you're there on diplomatic business, you don't have to. So what that means is that politicians don't need to take any of this stuff to go anywhere. Now, what hasn't been rising amongst politicians? That's right, the suddenlies. Suddenlies hasn't affected any of these politicians. Wasn't there a fella there during the week? Someone will probably tell me now in the chat. I pointed it out on Twitter. There was GAA manager. I can't think of the guy's name. Say it in the chat. Have some chatter around. No chatter about that. Lance Reddick. No chatter really about that at all. But look, what's going on. So at what stage of the game are people in uniform going to things like this and start to go, okay, right, we need to look into this very seriously? I'm sure there's people in uniform that realise what's going on, that know what's going on, and should be holding these people accountable. So instead of stopping patriots and natives to this beautiful country from going down and protesting at an absolutely shambolic parade this year, perhaps you should gather together and you should be looking into fellas like Micheál Martin, like Leo Varadkar, like Paul Reid, like Tony Holohan, the entirety of NEFA, media members, News Talk, RTE, Claire Bourne, Ryan Tubridy, all of them. You should be looking into and investigating all of these people. But the longer that you don't do that, and the more times that you do things like you did on Paddy's Day, you're going to lose credibility. And this is why you're saying that nobody give an absolute jot about the problems that you're facing in uniform. Like, I know people, and I'm telling you now, people with upstanding and outstanding morals, that if they saw someone in uniform in trouble in the past, they would have gone and helped. They won't now. They won't now. So that's where you're at now at the moment. And then you also then see what's been going on around the place. And after a while, you have to start looking at yourself in the mirror. And I don't know how some of these people do. This group group here and Ireland strong partners for many years. Look forward to even more success in years to come. So, when does the investigation begin, guys? When does that happen? Now, the reason why I've decided to go onto Twitter instead of doing, I don't know, a screenshot of this is so that you can bank this as evidence, so that you know that what I'm showing you is completely and utterly real. So you've got 186.9 thousand followers. Many likes did we get on this? 295. 917 comments, and I'm guaranteeing you 917 of them were absolutely lambasting them for it. 149.2k views. Since Elon has turned that on, upset people altogether. Now, I've gotten more likes. This clown show production has gotten more. As I'd say again, over 186,000 followers. This company they're looking at 3 million. It's not. It must have had a big drop off. Plus. So there you go. It's over a whopping number of individuals that have looked at that and have gone, nah, not interested. Look at these two goofballs. Like, would you pick any of these fellas to be in a five-side with you? Not a chance at all. And these were two people that were out there going, Joe Rogan doesn't know what he's talking about. I think Joe Rogan didn't know what he was talking about. In fact, looks pretty all right now. But here's the real repercussions of things like this. Look at this. This is Lance Reddick. Who was Lance Reddick? Lance Reddick was an actor that was in The Wire, and he was an actor that was in the John Wick movies, and he was in the latest Resident Evil where they decided to change a white character and make him black. Now, when that sort of stuff happens, I always say to myself, this is how spotty Twitter is. I can see it reloading there. Absolute joke of a sight. This guy has things, and I'm sure you're familiar with him. But in the last week, he passed away. Now, the first thing I always think when I hear of a 60-year-old guy, particularly like this guy was in phenomenal shape, and being a case of the suddenlies, I'm like, I can have a fairly as to what that was there, potentially, possibly, speculatively, allegedly. You got that as well too. What happened to Kevin Samuels as well too? There seems to be no energy into what happened to him either. Influencers are fueling this anti-movement via Washington. Now, how many followers did Lance have? 224,000. Like, how? How is it possible that a fella that has so many followers only gets 61 likes? Like, that's weird, isn't it? But not only that, it's just letting you know that 2 years ago he was posting this here and now no longer with us. I know what you're going to say, and I agree with you as well too. You can't chalk everything down to this. I understand and I hear you on that. But how many people are going to have to get a case of the suddenlies or have a stroke or have a blood clot before people are looked into very seriously? Like, there's this man, for example, no longer with us now, and these two here floating around the place there having a good time. You know what I mean? Like, when talking, she's going to bring a case now against it. Like, what about that person? What have we talked about over the last year or so? Just not forgotten about, is it? This is why the uniforms need to get the finger out real quick, because this is absolutely unbelievable here. And to me, it's the most incredible. Have a look here. This is just going back to 21, October 22nd, 2021. You've got surgeries cancelled as 1,800 health due. HSE chief calls for days here. So things that didn't work ultimately, and they were calling for that. Now you're hearing about cancer absolutely spiking in the country. Are we something like the leading country for cancer in Europe? This small island? And this, nothing being done accountable for that. Lessons will be learned. That's the type of nonsense that you keep hearing and rhetoric that you keep hearing. People will learn lessons from this. No, you won't. You'll be going to jail for it. You're going to prison. Because that's what someone that should be held military tribunal with these people here. We have boatloads of evidence here. We've A4 stuff that you didn't know about this because emails were sent to you and people talked about this to your face. That's why it's important to say these things to these people's faces as well. And why you're seeing a recent conversation coming from the media about, and they're trying to use it in as some sort of negative, a citizen journalist. Yeah, so what? A citizen journalist is someone that has to do your job because you're not integral enough, nor have you got any integrity to do what you're supposed to do. That's why citizen journalism exists now, because you've got no morals, you've got no principles, and you're deciding to bury your head in the sand rather than look at something objectively. Like, for example, even there today, RTE were out posting about that lady, Alana. And listen, I'm going to preface this with this. I feel very sorry for anybody that has a life-changing event that happens to them. I'm going to say that, and I mean that. I authentically mean that. Anybody that has a long-lasting effect on their life, which has utterly changed it, is absolutely sympathetic to me, and my heart completely goes out to them. 100%. However, what you've seen from the media is it seems like one story. As far as they got said, oh, there was an attack here. Okay. Led up to the attack. Nobody knows. There's people here that are reporters and are putting out allegations, and the story doesn't seem too clear cut, is all I'm saying. And what I'm seeing now is people that are jumping on the bandwagon real quick and are like, oh my God, 4.5 years, absolutely despicable. It doesn't seem like the prosecution appealed that though. They didn't say, oh, you're hanging off. There's lots of conversation about Judge Martin Nolan. And rightfully so, because you're seeing people, and here's the thing, and this is where you got to weigh things up. There was another case there during the week, or was it last week or the week before, where someone got off with a suspended sentence. That's it, just out the door. Gone. That had imagery. You know what I'm talking about. And suspended sentence for them. Meanwhile, this guy that's over here that's engaged in a life-altering event, 4.5 years. It's topsy-turvy, the place. Now, like I said, the prosecution didn't push that any further, which is obviously very strange, I think, to say the very least. And it doesn't seem like you're getting the entire story there. Now, why are the media pushing her in particular? The reason why the media are pushing her in particular is because it's going to play into their hands later on down the road, because that girl is mixed race. It's going to play in. They're going to interview her on the likes of RTE. They're going to have her all sorts of different places. And now they're starting to start up these organizations in Limerick there, this anti-ism organization, this tracking-ism organization. I don't know if you've noticed there, lads, but that sign that black woman was holding in Cork is pretty ist, is it not? Is that not, isn't it? No? You don't want to call that? Okay, so it's only going to work against one. Tell you what, that was Yanks, because the Yanks have been browbeaten for decades and they've been psyoped by the likes of entertainment. It's not going to work here. You've already overshot the mark here, guys. I'm telling you, because you have people now, and rightfully so, looking at the likes of the continent of Africa and are saying, since when Africa joined the EU? Why are there so many Africans here in the first place? Not only that though, but we've been open, we've been welcoming, we've been putting in issues open the likes of Blanchardstown, for example. You're engaging in bad behaviour in Balbriggan. And these people are beginning to live in. People don't want to live in these areas now. They want to move out as soon as possible. They want to get out. So I don't know whether that's a correlation between things. It's circle of friends continent of Africa. And the first thing he said about a new estate, this is his words. Now, he used a different word than what I'm going to use. His words were, sees a new estate that is going up there near to him and says, probably full of blacks. And I just looked at him and I went, what? And I just looked at him and he looked at me and he went, yeah. Now, he used a different words, I'm just going to say, you know. And I raised my eyebrows and I went, what? And he says, yeah, it's probably going full of blacks. And I said, but no. And he says, no, he says, you don't seem to get it. He says, a lot of us, he said, have moved away from the country because of people like those. I was gobsmacked There's I've seen it in the rap game, for example, in America, where these people have their own problems. You want to see the abuse that Drake gets? I'm telling you, it's nothing short of unbelievable. But his argument, because then we got talking about it, of course, but his argument about it was, hang on, these people are coming over here. I don't know who they are, what they're up to, and they're going to be living near enough to me. No, I'm not having that. And his the get away then breathes there. Absolutely fascinating. And that's coming from the word. Now, that's not the only fella that's doing that. I have friends from other countries as well, too, particularly Eastern Europe, that feel exactly the same. They feel the same about people that are coming in from anywhere. They're like, I don't want that person over near me. I don't want that person from that country over near me. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So when you're saying the likes of this, Eastern Europeans don't give a rat. And I'm telling you, they don't give a rat. And they'll say what they like. It's going to be interesting times ahead, because these people want to point the finger at people all the time, particularly Irish people. Opening the conversations don't know anybody from different countries. You see, that's the difference between me and these people and you and these people, is that you know people from different countries. The media and people on the left here that wouldn't engage with these people at all, nor have them around their houses, nor have them as friends, are constantly trying to infantilize these people, trying to say, oh, we'll look after you, we'll take care of you. But they don't know anything about these people. These people, this is the way they think. And it's the same. Like, people, for example, like Salty, have been talking about his wife. He's like, my wife is Aztecian. And he's like, her family came over the border and they were like, right, shut the border. And he's like, whoa, hang on here for a second. These are either coming from South America. And they were like, no, shut the door quicker, because we know what's coming after us. So that's the way an awful lot of these people view it too. Interesting stuff, to say the least. So this action plan likely to face resistance. Yeah, see that. Quick swig. You see, this is what happens. You decide to flood the place with so many different people that have sorts of different problems and different thoughts than themselves, which I think they're entitled to do. But you are then going to then set this up. You see, it's problem, reaction, solution. And what does this ultimately do? It ultimately leads these people down a path of totalitarianism and authoritarianism. And that's exactly what they want. They want to control what you say and how you say it, instead of you speaking freely. That's why real world conversations are important, because you can say what you like. And we know people, there's people around me that would say, oh, you can't say that. Why won't I? And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say it louder. I'm going to say it again. And they go, oh, because they've been bought into this nonsense here. Meanwhile, you talk to other people that are from different places, and they're like, sure, why wouldn't you say anything like that? It's the truth. So what you see here is this. Now, this has been something to witness, and this is to point out what's happening in a different country. So when you're the support, it's going to you cheer clause Parliament as new bill making it. Well, that's interesting. So they're all excited. There it is here. Now, there was a comment underneath it, and I saw this, and I went, "Oh no!" I was like, "Don't tell me this woman is Irish." And she is. I don't like to see this. I don't like to see this at all. Just give me 1 second. Oh, I'm at just getting a message there. It's from Leanne. She was like, "You're breaking up badly." I'll try and jump off now and see if it's the Twitter. See if it's this. Maybe if I jump on like this here. I'm after been seeing that Twitter's after been reloading, so I don't know whether it's that or whether it's the StreamYard acting up tonight. I was having a couple of technical issues over the last few weeks. So this is what I used to be doing, actually. I used to jump off Twitter, come back onto StreamYard and see what it's like. Leanne, will you let me know if that's all right now? How is it now? I was also seeing that video from what's your man's name? David Savage. David McSavage. It's really good. It's Twitter, I think. I think it's Twitter that's the one that's causing upset. And I can see myself there. I can see the icon starting to float in and out. I can see the icon coming back there now. The icon looks good. Hang on, I'm just going to have to skip through the chat. I know it's going to be annoying, but I'm going to have to skip through like 40 minutes worth of chat. Hey, and enjoy. Thanks very much. Good to see you here, man. See super instant. Sorry that I'm gonna have to skip through this here. This is an absolute disaster class when you decide to do things like this on the moment. Right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump out of Twitter now for the moment, and I'm gonna see if that improves it at all. Because that might be the issue. Twitter is an odd social media app now at the moment. There's gremlins in the machine, lads. There's gremlins in the machine. Let's have a look. Let's see if that improves it. I think there's been a small improvement there now. I can see it already. Wonder if it's got something to do with that. I think it's got something. Yeah, it's to do with the twatters. It's to do with the twatters, guys. Is absolutely what's going on. Is it? Can I see myself again? Yeah, it's kind of slow tonight. It is. I don't know what the story is. Give me a sec there, guys. So anyway, what I was going to go through was a couple of other things on. That's annoying now. There is. Oh yeah, the answer is better now, Ninja. Okay, so it was Twitter. Long story short, because I should have gotten the video up for the start, but anyway, Derek Bloig's bank. Just before we jump into that, actually, what I'll do is I'll talk about Uganda. Uganda and a woman there decided to say, it was an Irish woman there, as you can see, that one there called Shay, decided to say that Christian missionaries were responsible for what Uganda has just done. Now, Ugandans and Africans at large underneath that absolutely aroused her, and they were like, no, it's just that we don't like this sort of stuff here. That's got nothing to do with Christians or anything like that. And in fact, we think they're actually way too tolerant. It's like, oh my God. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll jump in now onto Gab. And now, hang on, give me a second. This thing is all over the camp tonight. So, very funny stuff. But what's not funny is what has happened to Derek Bloig this week. Now, Derek Bloig's wife and his children have had their AIB banks closed. Their AIB bank accounts, I should say, have had those accounts closed. And reasons seem to be unknown as of yet as to why. Now, as I've said to Derek, I would 100% suggest finding legal counsel and getting advice there with relation to that, because, I mean, that's absolutely criminal in my view. And let's not forget, because some people might say, well, AIB are performing a moral policing of what. No, hang on here for a second. Where does Ballymaloe have their bank accounts? What about any of these people out there that have been caught with certain imagery and that? Do they have bank accounts? Doesn't seem like there's any energy there about them. No, nothing at all. What about the guy that's standing up for Ireland? Oh yeah, no, target him. So in the last 2 weeks, there have been media articles that have been written about Philip Dwyer. One article being written about him. Now, Philip took the mick out of it and gained more likes in less time, with less people following him, than the mainstream media outlet, the Sunday World. So the Sunday World decided to say a number of disparaging things about Philip Dwyer. Of course, people that haven't done a day's work in their own lives are talking about Philip Dwyer and his work life. Amazing stuff there, guys. These people as well that don't think that people, and I'm saying people, children in the womb, don't think that they matter at all. They don't. But other things matter, of course, to them, And in particular, they have this odd fascination with dogs. So Philip had a laugh at them, got more likes than he did in less time, and moved on. But Derek Bloig was also and I would say, victim of a media outlet again going on the attack against him. Because why? Because he's standing up for Ireland. And what you're starting to see is now people are losing trust hand over fist with the media. It's great to see. And people are seeing videos that Derek is making. Now, here's the thing, and this is the difference between what's happening with the media and what's happening with this side of the fence. Videos that the likes of Derek, Satirical Soldier, Philip Dwyer, Dave Cullen, The Irish Git, The Irish Inquiry, Saints and Scholars, Dan's Mixtape, these videos are all getting out there and are getting to people. Like, I have the point man there, the point man that's been in the chat, and he was saying to me, your stuff's been sent to me, Ninja, and I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable. That video I did of your man, the Jamaican fella, is up near enough. I think it's 15,000 views now. That's not bad. But what's happening is that's getting more views than the live stream, and I'm very happy with that. So I'm going, that's happy days. But the live stream is panicking because it's like, guys, these people, and this is the thing, they try to use the citizen journalism as some sort of job. No problem at all. Wear that badge proudly. These people out here are doing this job. Yeah. Oh, we're concerned about what sort of support they're getting. Yeah, that's right. You should be, because here's the thing. Your support is fading, and it's fading because you have been telling lies over the last number of years, and you haven't been holding politicians accountable. Look at this image, for example. This is an example of one piece, just one piece of good journalism. And again, big shout out to Ben Scollin, because he's done great here. Absolutely fantastic. You have a question been posed to Varadkar about this Barbie Kardashian character, and I know I'm going to talk about it here again. But you have a question been posed to people here. This is the reaction you're getting. This is a Green Party fella, Joe O'Brien, is it? Look at this guy. Floor, looking at the floor. Roderick O'Gorman, look at the face on O'Gorman. Now, this is the thing. This wasn't highlighted enough, I don't think, because this is a fella that's been pushing and peddling all sorts of nonsense over the last couple of years. A fella that's Minister for Children that has attachments to a fellow with the first name Peter and the second name Tatchell. Have a look into him. And has been presiding over children, which is outrageous considering the fact, and the Overton window has now shifted to say that he's gay. The previous Minister for Children was also gay, Catherine Zappone. Now, why would you have anything to do, and this is where I come back to, and I talk about ministry, why would you have anything to do with a profession or indeed a ministry of something that you have no stake in nor no knowledge about whatsoever? Now, people that say in the chat, Ninja, hang on there, Paul Murphy has an idea now and he's gone wacko about these things. Listen, don't mind Paul Murphy. I mean, a lot of people are asking the question now of who's the father. You know what I mean? So, and rightfully so, I think. Anyway, going on and looking at this here, you see Martin throws the eyes up into the air. Like, this has to be one of the most significant videos that I've ever seen presented in Ireland ever. The backpedaling that was done by this fella here, I've only become aware of it over the weekend. My team has just let me know. What do you mean you've only become aware of it? Everybody knows about this. And in fact, here's the thing. If I'm going to take you at your word, you should be going back and scolding your team, going, here, hang on, you idiots. You didn't let me know about this. I should know everything about this here, because this is looking bad. Instead, you've had to scramble out and go, look, guys, we're not going to put the likes of the guys in there, the women. Okay, well, how about talking about the LGFA? The LGFA have decided to allow fellas that are women. Doubtfires. They've let them now play in the GAA. The Athletics Commission there only today have decided, no, we're not having any of this here, guys. Why? Because in Italy, a fella absolutely blamed through the race. He was a fella that was something like 6,000 in the world or something like that. Something similar to the swimming situation. Would never have gotten near any sort of serious athletics event and ended up winning a women's race. You know what I mean? Like, so women now are starting to realize, this stuff that we've been pandering to, and it's something they constantly and repeatedly do. And I have seen it on the internet, and I know people in real life that, certain stereotypes as well too about certain people are starting to fit certain individuals now. And a thing that people were talking about a number of years ago were anchor babies, for example. Just talking a little different topic here. And that's a reality amongst 2 or 3 people that I know. So I don't know about that, but certainly you see one piece of good journalism here that has caused an image that I think should go down in history. This clown here looking at the floor, this is a fella there, as I said, 2 fellas here from the Green Party. So people that think that you should pay more taxes to fix the weather. Meanwhile, their leader is going off to the likes of China with a shirt that's not even ironed on, on tens of thousands a year. Flies across to China and then he's talking to you about your carbon footprint. Absolute spoofer. Time waster. Waste of a party here. A party, by the way, that harbours Catherine Martin. This is another party, by the way, that should be seriously investigated. If I had my way, I would make this party illegal. because they have decided to install a ministry of truth into this country, amongst other negative things. So, two guys here. This fella is born in the hole in this fella's head here because he's looking at him like this. Now, just want to say this as well, because I observed this over the video because he has been a topic of conversation for the last while. Look at the way he's looking at him. This is supposedly the leader of the country. And O'Gorman feels comfortable to be staring into the side of this fella's head. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? This fella doesn't even have the gall to look up. This fella here throws his eyes up to heaven, as if, oh, sure, look, this is a stupid question. I couldn't believe now that you're asking me this. I just want to go over there now and talk to Albert. I want to say to him, now, what a great fella. Him and the company begin with P. You know, we've a great joining together. And I'm going to go over and meet Joe. I'll meet Joe, I will, in the White House. Now, Joe, he won't take a sniff of me, but he'll take a sniff of someone else. And I don't mind that. But do you know who I'll talk about negatively? I'll talk about Donald negatively. This is absolutely a bizarre world that we're living in. That you have noodle arms over here and an Indian here running the show. And then you've got this clown over here then looking at this fella like this. I tell you what, lads, to be a fly on the wall after this here should have been incredible. I'd say it was something short of, I'd say it was like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, lads. Because these four had to have gone away and there had to have been some sort of conversation had amongst them. I'd say they were fuming. And images like this have gotten out and they have been talked about and circulated now far and wide. And fair play to Grip. That's what I'd say. Fair play to them. Because they're the only place that's asking these people any sort of questions. They were the only place that were asking questions in the initial terms from the Kitty Holland situation. That's another instance that seems to have just been gone by the wayside at this stage of the game. They're like, are you going to factually back up what you said there in that article? No? Okay. Videos? Pictures? No? Nothing? Seems like you're telling lies. So, to me, one piece of good journalism, that's all it took. And you see it just go. So this constant barrage of, no, yeah, like, you know, women are totally men and men are totally women. Finished in about 20 minutes it was. Done. So I think that is absolutely hilarious. And I can't really credit Grip enough for a fantastic piece of journalism there. Now, this is the Lance Reddick one as well, so don't mind me. There's some overlap here amongst these things. This is slow tonight, isn't it? That's why I was saying to you about this thing here. You're nearly booting this thing up a call at this stage. This is, we'll just call it Cadejo, right? So, blocked from following this individual. This is me. Of course, post there of the second plantation, the invasion of Ireland there. Of course, from a nice angle as well, too. About 500 people there lurking around the place, you know. NGOs out to the max there, but couldn't get enough people out there, so hilarious. And you've got this individual here now. This is an individual that's going to be running for the Green Party. So saw a fit to block a native because I said, and this is all I said, go home to Nigeria. Was wearing a Nigerian flag on her face on St. Patrick's Day and spouting over about Nigeria. Go home. If you don't like it here, go home. And certainly don't think you're going to be in here telling me what to do. Because here's another thing that's going to happen. And this is a big push that they're making for people in uniform. If you decide to install a foreigner in uniform, I will not obey the foreigner. It's not happening. That's something that they tried after Oliver Cromwell landed into the place. It didn't work out well then. It's not going to work out well now. So that's how things go. And that's how history has shown us before how things rock out. And this is how it's going to rock out. But this is a person that feels absolutely comfortable with blocking a person, a native, because they just say very respectfully and peacefully, you should go home to Nigeria. Now, you've got people that are out there, politicians, and this is the type of politician, alleged politician, that is going to be pushed forward by the likes of the Green Party, by the likes of these two fellas. You know what I mean? Someone that can handle someone saying, go home to them. Oh, yes, I go home to me. What have they been doing in Nigeria? They're banning foreign models and foreign voiceover actors. That sounds way worse than what I'm doing. I'll tell you that now, lads. You know, this is what you're going to see now tonight. I'm going to show you a comment here from Kamaru Usman, who is Nigerian as well. When you see this one, this is super slow tonight. I don't know what's going on here. So you've got this image here. I don't know whether I showed this beforehand. This is an absolute banger of an image. I love this one here. And you disagree with me. That's a phobia, pal. Because that's what you've been seeing on social media for the last number of weeks. What I've been saying from people is people now starting to look at this movement as a whole, and you're starting to see, and I said it before, you're starting to see the lesbians, the gays, and the boys. Now, to be honest with you, and I'm going to be very frank with you on this, I know a couple of people that are like, I'm bi, and I'm like, nah, you're gay. And they're like, what? I'm like, you're gay. If you like one thing and then you're trying to pretend it's the other, and this goes both ways, by the way. I'm like, no, you're gay. Like, so just be gay. That's that's your thing. Whatever you want to do, that's your thing. Once you're a legal, consenting adult and you keep it behind closed doors, and I don't have to hear about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. Keep it there. Leave it there. And that's it. But when you think about it, because a lot of people are starting to do that now, none of these people in that community have anything in common. Women that like women, fellas that like fellas, nothing in common with each other. Oh, but they like people that are the same gender as them. Yeah, but they don't like the other. So these women don't all of a sudden like fellas, and these fellas don't all of a sudden like women. So they've nothing in common. Hang on just 1 second. I don't know what's going on here. This thing is really slow this evening. So they don't have anything in common. And then you've got the others down and like, oh, we like to play both sides of the fence. Pick one. Don't be ridiculous. You're gay or you're not gay, and give that over. You can't be gay for the day. This gay for the day stick, you need to give it over. It's enough now at this stage of the game. So what we've got here, and I don't know whether it's going to jump into it, but it'll jump in now at some stage. You've got that there, and you've got the independent.ie that has decided to put out an article. Just give me 1 second there, guys. This thing is causing all sorts of mayhem now for me this evening. Parent of transgender student in Enoch Borkrow expresses safety concern for their family. So that was the headline. The child had never asked to be called by they pronoun. Email to the school states. So that seems to me like the school told lies then. So if the school has told lies, what does that mean? Does that mean that this case should ultimately be thrown out? Or should it be just totally annulled at this stage of the game? Now, in my view, it should be reinstated, but this is big problems for the former principal of this school, because there's something else now that's starting to follow that principle around, where she's starting to promote certain ideologies in the new school that she's in, allegedly. And now it seems like the school as a whole have told lies here, because now the parent is coming out and is like, no, we never did that. So that's a lie. And that means then a statement that you've made, allegedly, according to this here, seems to be perjury. So what happens with relation to that then? Now, here's the thing, and here's where things are going and how things are getting silly from here. The longer this carries out, the more silly the judicial system looks, and it is silly. We know that. How silly the country is, we know that. We know that it's silly. But ultimately, what this is becoming now is, okay, guys, it was never about the Doubtfire stuff to begin with. It's the fact now that he's breaking the court order. And this is something that the left and the media have pivoted towards. He's breaking the court order. Listen, you people that weren't interested in rules like the Geneva Convention or the Nuremberg Code for the last couple of years, you can sit this one out. We don't need your legal opinion or advice or any sort of advice coming from you people whatsoever. This is a very serious twist in this tale, though. And other than the Independent, I don't think you've seen anybody talk about this at large. Now, this is gross in my view. And to be honest with you, the way the school has behaved in this whole situation is gross. But it would seem to me that the parent now is starting to put the school under the bus, and things are going to become more interesting from here on now. So watch this space with relation to that there. Fair play to the family, indeed, for holding their morals and their principles intact, because it's phenomenal stuff. This is a meme that got out during the week. I thought this was absolutely awesome here. You've got a... That's a real picture, by the way. Not the hands or anything like that, but this picture here. This is a fella that's been parading around TV screens for the last couple of weeks there on... Is it Dancing with the Stars? Is it a place where Z-list celebrities go? It was a Paul Brogan, wasn't it? They had Paul Brogan on it. Former Dublin player Paul Brogan. Paul Brogan played for Dublin? I don't know. Bernard did. What about your man? Oh, he was warming the bench, was he? He'd splinters in the... Yeah, oh, right. Okay. So anyway, you've got this fella here that they're calling the Queen of Ireland. How offensive to women, by the way. And Ireland needs no queen, let me tell you that. And then you see this here, they them, Zapone, Murphy, Radgar, O'Gorman, Foley, Tachel, Tina Collis, Tenny. You've got this here, the master of horror unleashes everything children were ever afraid of. Foley is a very weird looking character as well. Isn't it strange how these people are around tens of thousands and they all have weird looking haircuts, they all have weird looks to them, and nobody seems to be able to find a stylist whatsoever. I think that's very odd. I mean, none of these people look like normal people. You know, I said it before, Jack Chambers there has hair like a Lego man, you know what I mean? I even think the same about Mikel Arteta as well. He's like a Lego man as well. He's dyeing the hair off himself. He is there, the eyebrows and everything. It's very strange. I always find things like that when people have an awful lot of money very odd. You've got this here from Ireland's or Irish Freedom Party. 2022 total PPS, total numbers 306,000, total Irish born 69,000, total non-Irish 237,000. That's a replacement, lads. Now, this is very effective and fair play to the Irish Freedom Party for putting this out. And I have to be honest with you, and I'm going to say this, as I said before, I'm not really sure about Herman, particularly because he was in a picture with Greta Thunberg, and I don't really like that because that's a spoofer and a half, and I don't know why you would decide to do that. That's just my personal opinion. But it seems like the Irish Freedom Party are the only one doing a bit of movement here. That's what it seems like to me. And that's why I would like to see Ireland Force, particularly with Eric Blythe, making a big headway. And what I think should be happening is these people, instead of putting egos and narcissism ahead of themselves, should put the country first and should sit down. I'm not saying that Herman and Derek have an ego. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that these people need to come down, sit down together and say to each other, okay, here's the area that we're going to go for election, because that's what these big parties do. That's what these uniparties do. They position people in certain places so that they will gain the seats in these places. And that's what the nationalist side need to be doing. They need to be sitting down and coming up with a strategy. Forget the egos, forget the narcissism. You can deal with that when you get into the door. Forget about it until then. Get in there and change things. Because right now what we're seeing is a relentless way of leftism coming from the Dáil, coming from the media, coming from the Seanad. You've got Ronan Mullen that's in there basically on his own in the Seanad. I do like Sharon Keoghan, but she backs off and says weird things now and again. But you do have one individual in there in Ronan Mullen that I particularly really like. And you've got a couple of people in the Dáil, Matt McGrath, usually fairly good on what he does and what he says. And that's about it. You know what I mean? So these type of things, and this is an image that you should be sending around to as many people as possible, because this sort of stuff wouldn't be tolerated in any other country around the globe. Not at all. And we shouldn't be tolerating this here. That's a significant increase in PPS numbers for people that are not of this country. This is replacement in front of your very eyes. Walk around your local town, walk around your local village, your local city. Dublin City, for example, even. Walk around and have a listen. Just stand there for 10, 15 minutes. Look at the likes of the Roma that are hanging around the likes of Moore Street. What did those people contribute to our society? Nothing. Why are they here? Because they're being permitted to be here. And now they're talking about, for example, in the last year or two, about raising the pension age. Like, how could you take this government serious when they're saying we're talking about raising the pension age? Okay, well, that's not a good idea. Because you're looking over the other side of the road and these shams are hanging around there, sitting around doing nothing most of the day, putting their hands out looking for begging, and then are going in and collecting dough. So why are they here? They should be all bounced out of the country. Again, like I said, the first thing I would do if I got into government would be like, Green Party, you've been up to some serious shenanigans. Investigations for you, investigations for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, all that is. All these are under investigation. But the next thing I would do is I would set up an immigration task force. And what I would do is I would hire people and hire a lot of people, put them to work and get them to send these people straight out of this country. And that's what I would do. I'd say, okay, you're not here to do anything. You're here not to work. You're gone. You're out of here. You've been sent on a plane back to where you came from. Good luck to you. And you're their problem now. You don't want to go there? Okay, we'll take a leaf out of the UK's book and we'll send you to Rwanda. Sound. That's what you need to do. You need strong leadership. You need these bills and motions to be passed. And you need these things to be put forward. Because that's what people should be saying to the likes of Sinn Féin. If you hold them credibly as an opposition party, which they currently aren't, in my view, you know, anybody that's coming across a Sinn Féin, talking to them and saying to them, here, listen, we're not happy with this. People in Sinn Féin are now calling people Islamophobes. This is a supposed Republican party. Finished. Gone. Now, I will say this. I keep saying it. All you need is a John Dutton. You need someone out there with big money. Or you need a rural fella, I reckon. And you need someone out there with big money that'll have a number of people that are around them that will get into one of these parties and turn the party around. That's what I believe. Now, I do think that new parties are important for sure, but I also do think that turning around one of the more legacy ones, I think, is going to be important in the future. It's what happened with America, and it's the same thing that's happening here. I can see it, and I could see it doing well. But here's a start anyway. That's something that you should send around to as many people as possible, I would say, because it's a clear and obvious number that is showing you now how deeply in trouble this country is. Let's keep going. 1848 to 1920 want to vote like you. Okay. 1963, 1980s want to work like you. Okay. 1990 to 2010s, I'm better than you. Okay. 2020 to present, I am you. Okay. What? Wait a minute. this is very appropriate because this is exactly what's happened. So the tables have turned now big time. And sometimes, to be quite honest with you, like as I said before, in a serious and on a serious note, people, fellas getting involved in women's sports, and particularly physical ones, could cause a serious amount of problems. But what I find particularly hilarious now is the athletics and the swimming and stuff like that, where it's a singular solo sport as such, and people, and particularly lads, they're absolutely blemming the records out of it. And now there's a problem. They're like, uh-oh, what's going on? That's the funny side of it. The other side of it, though, is some creepos that are going into dressing rooms and they're like, I identify as a woman. No, you do not. You are just the creepo, and you should be out of there as soon as. Now, this is an appropriate post, a meme that was made up by someone I don't know who it was sent to me. To be quite honest with you, you could switch the bottom of that with any political party now in the country and it'd still fit. You know what I mean? No difference. But this is the type of stuff that would be up there now for sure. This is what you're saying up above there. And the see a woman as well has been pushed forward by the Green Party, a woman, an African woman, with hair like Minnie Mouse. And they're like, this is someone that we're pushing forward for a councillor. What? I'll have a look now at some lols here now in a moment. That's really annoying that thing didn't work on Twitter, by the way. But anyway, Joe Biden said that the banking system is safe. Come on, man. The banking system is safe. Now, I'm just going to let you know this. Anytime Joe Biden says anything, believe the opposite of it, because that tends to be true. Now, Joe Brolly has been talking a big game on Twitter for the last couple of weeks and months. It seems like Joe is looking for a bit of favour. Did you know that Joe Brolly is married to a relation of Joe Biden? Did you know that? No, you do. And that's why Joe Brolly has gone particularly hard left over the last couple of weeks and has been saying weird things. One of the funniest things that happened during the week on Twitter was he posted out a video, and it's one of these terribly unfunny videos of a fellow walking along in a certain uniform from 1930s, 1940s. And now when I say a certain uniform, people be like, well, the Yanks font as well. The German is just what I'm going to say there. And our man's called a certain thing. And he's like, I'm not one of those. And proceeds to spiel out things. Then uses terms like far right, nationalist, and all that. People forgot and have forgotten and are being trained now to omit history. They, in that time in Germany, were leftists and they were socialists. It's actually in the party name. Socialist is in the party name. Now, since then, and what has been happening over the last couple of weeks and months is people are starting to look back at that event and are starting to say to themselves, NASA, who was a big proponent of the rockets that were there? Werner von Braun. Where did he come from? He came from Germany. All right. What did he do before that? He was part of that party, was he? That's interesting. The Americans used him for that, did they? Yeah. How many scientists did the Yanks bring over? 1,800? That's odd, isn't it? Yeah, that's very strange. What happened to everybody that was leading what happened in Germany at the time? They, Jeffried. They Jeffried themselves. And did you recover anything? Do you have any pictures or anything like that? No, nothing like that. Where are they? We lit them up, and we could identify them through the teeth. Right. Okay. So you have no proof then? No. Okay. Well, it seems like a lot of people got out around the globe, didn't they? Yeah. They got a lot of amnesty around places. Yeah. Granted amnesty themselves by himself. Yeah. That's weird, isn't it? What's happening nowadays? Are they saying the same things happening in the blue and yellow flag waving country? Is that really happening over there? No, not at all. So I don't know about you, but I certainly look back at history now and I go, not really sure about what we've been told beforehand. Figure 3.4 top, bottom, and 5 unemployment rates of non-Irish nationalities with 1,000 plus people aged 15 and over 2016. Now, this is from 2016, so 7 years later, I would imagine that these are larger than what they are saying here now. So let's have a look. French, Swedish, Germans, Italians, Belgians, state, Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Nigerian, Saudi Arabian, Congolese unemployment rate. Now, Germany, what they used to do was they used to have people that would go out to people after the first year, I think it was, and they would reduce the rate that they were getting, I think, by 20%. Then after that, then they would be reduced down to 40%, so barely livable. And then after that, then they were cut off. So I think it was year 3 was the cut-off point. Now, I don't know about you or if you've been in Germany recently, but Berlin, for example, there basically looks like Turkey. It's very strange. Berlin's a strange place now. It doesn't feel German at all. There's kebab shops everywhere. And I mean kebab shops next door to each other. I cannot figure it out. Now, people would say, hang on here, Paddy. Listen, Paddy, you have pubs beside pubs. Yeah, I suppose you're right when you say that. And they have Turkey. They have Turkey. They have kebab shops beside kebab shops in Turkey. Yeah, but that's Germany. Why do they have kebab shops beside kebab shops in Germany? That would seem to me that there's so many Turkish people, or indeed people of Middle Eastern descent, that are there. And that seems to be not German. Okay. What sort of problems has Germany been having over the last few years? Oh, they've been having big problems? Well, that's interesting to say the very least. So that's what Germany was doing. Ireland needs to be holding the same approach. And to me, what I would do, if I'm just being honest with you here, I wouldn't be giving any money, no social welfare to anybody that's not from Ireland. Now, this is where this thing comes into mind, by the way. And listen, you had to play 5D chess with these people. But we've given them Irish citizenship. Revoke it. It's easily revoked, as easily as it was given. Revoke it. You have the ability to do it now, and you have the ability to do it soon. Get it out there, and anybody that's not interested in doing anything, gone. Out you go. Because that, and people say, oh, it costs so much money. It's going to cost you way more if you're going to be basically letting these people sit around buying houses for them. That's what the councils are doing around the place, allegedly, speculatively. Blowing people out of water to house foreigners in council houses. Meanwhile, people are on HAP schemes for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. They're Irish, they're natives. Families have been here centuries. And they've been overlooked then for someone that's coming off the boat from the likes of Nigeria, and this Nigerian's going, you are racist. Sitting there with the best of clobber and sitting there on their iPads and their iPhones. Now here, listen, I know that that's part of the game. And part of the game is to cause division amongst people. That is what they are trying to do. They are trying to have people civilly divided, rather than looking at where it's to be looked at, which is the politicians. And that's why it's important to take seats off them. I see one comment as well too today that was talking about people now that were there in Mullingar that stopped the bus. They stopped the bus of invaders into Colin Barracks, I think it was called. They stopped it and the bus had to go away. Fantastic stuff. Great to see. People decided now we're not having any of this. And that energy is going to start happening, by the way, and just talking about cause and effect like I do. You're going to start seeing what used to happen in the 90s occur now with relation to these direct provision centres and houses now in certain estates, by the way. You're going to see what used to happen in the 90s, which is, remember when people used to be outside certain houses and they used to say, push her, push her, push her, out, out, out. You're going to start seeing the same thing happen. You're going to start seeing the same energy because people are going to start realising real soon that these sort of things are happening and houses have been taken from underneath their noses and in their area. They're bringing the area down. I know as well as you do, and I've had this conversation with many people, you know a house that is being, I would say, inhabited by people that are up to no good and are certainly up to nothing. When you see the curtains, you see these curtains, and they're not even curtains, they're basically like foils that are across the front window. You know those ones? They're not curtains, they're not blinds or anything like that. They're little foils, you know what I mean? Now everybody knows, as soon as you spot that, you know what's up with that. So these things will come a cropper, I think, and it's great to see. The memes are going to keep coming. Now, this is a real tweet, by the way. This is from Greta. And she says, a top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. That didn't happen. So that was a lie. That's another spoof. Another spoofy. It's just nice because this climate stuff is starting to ramp up again and people ain't buying into it. They're like, nah, that's bullshit. It's good to see. Green Party roster for the next election. I'll tell you what, the ability to meme from this side of the fence has not disappointed me. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see. And these people have just taken a very simple image and put it in here and have said, look at what these clowns are doing. And this is the clown party here, of course, there. And it wouldn't shock me if they decided to do something like this. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. Because this is the type of clown world you live in. And these are the type of memes that are effective. Because you send that around to people and people start looking and go, huh? So what do they mean by that? Hilarious. This is coming from the gang over here. So you've got, as I said beforehand, the flu went on the missing list there for the best part of a year. What happened? It disappeared and now it's back. Remember Micheál Martin was saying that? By the way, guys, the flu, like, it went on the break. What? It went on a break? What are you talking about? It's almost like for the last year, then you use that then as some sort of get out of jail card. That's not going to work though. You've got this here. I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm waiting to see the other thing that I have. This article is real, by the way. Waiting to see this. It's absolutely unbelievable. Here you go. Here, Sweden annual passing per mio population 1900 to 2022. Spanish years with this here and there. Now, by the way, just so you know, Sweden less issues than ever before. Look, madness, isn't it? Now let's have a look at this one here. That's what I want to look at next. Pictured is Diarmuid Martin, is the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Dublin and Primate of Ireland, addressing the Primate is right there, addressing the attendee, holding Muslim prayers in Croke Park. Okay, by the way, this is from 2020. So this is when Catholics, Christians, weren't allowed to have their sacraments. Remember, baptisms, communions, confirmations, weddings, funerals, all of the above, not allowed. And here's this fella here at Croke Park welcoming and talking to these people. Now, what has been on the lips of people over the last few weeks? That's right, they've been trying their hardest to change the denomination in schools. You've even had Adon and Reardon that's come out complaining, saying, well, maybe we need to overrule. So that's the authoritarianism and totalitarianism. Overrule, paraphrasing here, by the way, overrule the people and just do it. No, you won't be doing that. Okay, the country is 80+% Christian. I would even go as far as saying Catholic, and I would say about 10% are probably atheist, which is a great shame for those people. And then you've got the remaining being made up of all sorts. Now, you've seen people online that have talked about Educate Together, for example, where it doesn't feature a denomination, and those people regretting their decision to put their kids there because they're like, this is way out of bounds. But to go back on this whole situation, and it's something that Mel Gibson even talks about, there's a sickness within inside the church. Now, you need to look no further than the current Pope, in my view. But you've got people that are out there in this priesthood, and a priest is judged on the fruits that he gives. And in the last number of years, we've seen priests running around as well too with the face nappies on. To me, that would show that you don't have an awful lot of faith. Was it not your people that used to go into the colonies of lepers, and they weren't worried about that? They were more interested in going and spreading the word of God and going in there and helping people as much as possible. Instead, you've got fellas that were afraid of the sniffles over the last couple of years. How could you be any sort of man of faith, in my view? That's how I feel. My view on the institution as a whole has radically altered. My belief in God and our Lord and Saviour has been at an all-time high and is currently at an all-time high, because I believe 100% he's on our side and we're on the side of good. People like this guy, on the other hand, are doing things like this and had absolutely no care nor interest in the Irish people, who had sacraments basically halted for the best part of 2 years. It's absolutely shocking. It's completely and utterly disgraceful. And now you're starting to see the repercussions of that now, where they've attempted to persecute, in my opinion, Christians again by saying, now we're going to change the denominations. No. What are you doing when you change the denomination? People might think, it's no problem at all. You're welcoming in everyone else and anything else. You're deciding to leave the hen house unguarded. And all of these ideologies that these people like O'Gorman are trying to push forward along with Norma Foley are clear and present dangers. And what they are trying to do is push this stuff through as much as possible. This is why these people are fanatic about the Constitution. And when I say that, they are fanatic about changing it. They are strongly trying to change as much of the Constitution as fast as possible. Because ultimately, they do not want religion nor God in there whatsoever. Because these people don't want you being able to go back on your faith and say, hang on here for a second, I don't agree with that. Look at what's happened in America over the last number of months. The Yanks are starting to get wild to it. Wear the jersey, wear the rainbow jersey. No, I'm not wearing it. Okay, well, you're a bigot phobe. Couldn't care less. What happens in the next 24 hours? That player's jersey sells out. Now, I don't know about you, but that would seem to me like there's an awful lot of support for people that are standing up with morals and convictions and saying, no, I'm not having any of this shit anymore. I'm not having any of this groomer nonsense. Get out of here. And that's it. And I think that that's very interesting. But what you're seeing in the church at the moment is a disturbing lack of leadership and people that are open to nonsense. Now, this is a real article from the Irish Examiner, and it was talking about the climate nonsense here, and it was talking about the blue and yellow flag waving country. Look who it's authored by. I shit you not. I saw that and I was like, whoa. This to me is grounds for an investigation. This is something 100% that people in uniform should be looking into. Instead of looking into people that have been calling out what's been going on for the last few years and have said things that you may or may not like, because there's a number of people in the uniform that have allegedly, speculatively have said that they agree with what people are saying online, particularly natives. How about looking into a company like this that is posting material from this guy? All you have to do is a 5-minute Google search into who this guy is, and you'll get a very clear and obvious picture as to what this fella is and what he's up to. And it's all the same people running around this forum thing that are all looking for your life to be upended. Again, like I keep saying to people, you now live in a day and age where your value of your money has totally gone out the window. I remember, my parents were growing up. It was one individual could hold a household. They could look after everything. My grandparents could go back to them there, and indeed in their time, those people had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids. One person could bring in a wage and could look after that. Nowadays, you have both parents working and you have completely unhappy people from all angles. You have children then being raised either by people that have been paid to raise them, which is not their own family, or by other family members that are actually not as close to you. And that's completely and utterly insane. And people like this guy are people that have peddled this way of existence that we currently sit in. Just over 1 month ago that I gave a speech on the eve of the Munich Security Conference. Since then, so many remarkable things have happened, and have happened so fast that it's worth comparing my predictions of a month ago with actual developments. This should be grounds for this place now to be investigated thoroughly and immediately. Why are they posting the words of this guy? Out there stuff, guys. I'm telling you. Then you get to see this here, Emma de Souza, of course, they're an Irish name, as you know. De Souza, a long-standing Irish name. And just showing you yet again, as all these journalists do, letting you know that they're going on the junkets with these people, that they're involved with these people, and they're unashamedly showing you this. I mean, it's incredible stuff. So when journalists like to complain about people and indeed organisations gathering together, particularly natives, and saying, oh, I don't like this, and these people, and trying to put things between people, because you'll see it now down below. I have an article down below that's talking about the family beginning with K. And I'll tell you this now, if I was the family beginning with K, or people that have been having problems with each other over the last number of years, I'd be looking at the media now if I was them. Because how many things have the media said that are potentially untrue, that have caused conflict within those groups, we shall say. You know what I mean? You'd have to think about that, wouldn't you? So what you see here is watching Irish rugby get the Grand Slam with Taoiseach. Now, I would never watch rugby. It's not something I'm interested in. Leo Varadkar was some way to end the week in Washington. What a game. Hanging around with Varadkar. Where's the professionalism? Where's the integrity? Where's the unbiased journalism going on? We're all buddies. So how could you be impartial? I was in DC as a civic leader engaging with politicians all week, not as part of the media. That's pretty telling then as well, isn't it? Hence a week full of pictures with politicians. Now, these people spent a full week posting from all around the place the hijinks that these people were up to. Insane. Now, what I tweeted under most of the pictures was, stay there, don't come home. Stay in India there, Roderick, don't come back to Ireland. Stay in China there, Eamon, don't come back. Norma, stay in America. I also then said, any Americans that are out there that see Irish politicians, tell them to fuck off, because that's what should be told to them. And it should be told to them by people here in Ireland. I mean, I seen Gerald Celente there recently, and he said his new slogan for our politicians knocking his door, ask for votes, is, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? And I love it. I have to be honest with you, I love it. Because who do these people think they are? We are the many and they are the few. And what they think they can do is to us is upend our way of lives and destroy it. That's not going to happen. We won't allow it. We won't permit it. And this is why it's important to run against these people in the next election. They're talking about a general election now. So they're going to try and pull the trigger quicker than they anticipated because they're afraid of parties gaining momentum. They are seeing the momentum being gained by the Irish Freedom Party. They're seeing the momentum being gained by Ireland First. They're seeing the momentum being gained by independents in different areas. And they're like, uh-oh, this is a problem. So this is the machine reacting to that. The machine is afraid. And so it should be, because here's the thing. When people get in and they hold these people accountable, which they end up will, because the big difference between now and 100 years ago is people are now aware and have all of these things saved on their phones, for example. All of the things that these people have said and done, and to hold these people accountable is very easy to do. I'm telling you, I live in hope. People say, it's foolish. Hope is what you need. Optimism is what you need. And I do believe this will be turned around, and it'll be turned around quickly. These people were talking about locking down for 7 odd years. It was changed within 2. Now, I know what you were saying, and I agree with you, which is, well, they decided to open and shut when they wanted. But pressure was mounting. People turning up was mounting. And now people are seeing what's happening around the globe. They're viewing, and they're saying, you're not happy over there in France. You're not happy in New Zealand. You're not happy in Australia. Neither were we. You happy in America? No, we're not either. We don't like this. So, there you go. Hence a week of pictures with politicians. The replies attacking my work are less about me and more about a political agenda that suits the narrative of those making them. Ridiculous. Yeah, you're another individual that's around there on boat knees now with these people as well too. Like the individuals that would have been on boat knees as well too for Cromwell. You're no different. Hanging off the coattails of these people. There's other words that you could use there for sure anyway. We'll keep it as PG as possible here now on this platform, because that's the way it is. But anyway, you've had a couple of F-bombs this evening that have let you in on how people are feeling, and certainly how I'm feeling with these things. But there you have an alleged journalist out there hanging around with these people. Shocking stuff, isn't it? Let's have a look through these here as well. Now, this is something that was sent to me during the week by a follower of the channel. You're starting to see real movements happening now in teaching organisations. Now, what this is an INTO. So this is the Irish National, sent to me by a follower of the channel. And they said that the INTO, so this is their union, this is for primary school teachers, are actively pushing the rainbow flag in schools. Now, I've had a number of people hit me up with pictures of outside schools. Now, I'm not putting the picture up or pictures that I've received up because you know yourself. However, people are starting to now notice that these flags are appearing in schools. Problems there next. Now, my response to that is, and what I would encourage people to do, again, respectfully and peacefully, is gather parents together that disagree with it, send a group email, attach names and stuff like that to it, and voice your opposition to that. You also then need to be looking at school boards. You need to then be seeing who is permitting this stuff happening in the school. Is it a school as well too that specifically follows a particular denomination? Because if it is, well, then you have even more grounds that you have gains there. So this is out there stuff now been posted by a union that's gone completely rogue. This was a union, by the way, that not too long ago, they were talking about people to take these jabronis there for the sniffles. Out there stuff. Now, from what I can see there, I think the name is Maeve. So again, pushed, as you know. I'd say if you Google the name, You'd be not surprised by the type of image that would pop up there. It's hardly going to be an Eva Mendes looking character, you know what I mean? Every single time. But keep an eye on that, and energy should be shown with relation to that. This is something that you also need to be keeping an eye on, which is the material that your kids are watching. There was something that came on the TV not too long ago. I think it was Blue's House or something like that. Anyway, it was on the telly and it was just playing in the background, and that's what I looked at it. And what was happening in the TV show was they had a wedding ceremony. And of course, all of these characters are voiced by adults, which is why, it's bad enough that this is happening anyway. But the fact that adults are knowingly going in and voicing these things says an awful lot to me. The same with the Transformer stuff I was talking about. Entertainment needs to be talked about to weave in and out. There's people out there, right, that have been looking at my videos during the week going, he's talking about G.I. Joe and Batman. I thought this was a political channel. Listen, this is a channel that talks about all sorts of different things. It's wild. I know that. Welcome to the party. But what's happening in this TV series is not this one, but the one I was talking about there, this Blue's House or something like that. Anyway, long story short, two male characters, one dressed as a groom, one dressed as a bride, but clearly talking as male characters, and the childlike characters are forcing them into a false wedding ceremony and are very aggressive in it. Now, it's very similar to what is happening on social media, in particular on Twitter, which is you'll like what we're saying, bigot, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about or who we're aiming this towards, you'll like what we say, bigot. It's not working anymore, because here's the thing, people on Twitter are now laughing at you, and that's something. Again, the thing that's happening with Uganda is very interesting, because people have now looked over at that and they've gone, what did they do over there? Well, we might have a bit of that there, maybe. This stuff is getting out of hand. What were they doing there in St. Patrick's Day in the parade? They had doubtfires running through that. Yeah, no, we're not having that now anymore. So you see this here from Netflix. Now, Netflix, again, constantly at this sort of stuff. Not too long ago, they were putting out a movie out there that has thousands of audition tapes that nobody seems to know who has them. Now, again, I tell you what, when you talk about certain things like that, that riles me up more than anything else it does, because there's a difference between pushing this stuff towards adults, and I'm going to be honest with you when I say this. Anytime I say any sort of this nonsense in the likes of an adult-orientated show, I just turn it off. I'm just like, I'm not watching it anymore. The Last of Us, people were like, have you watched The Last of Us there yet? No, I haven't. Why? I know exactly what's going to happen, because I know what happened in the games. I know what they decided to do there, and I'm guaranteeing you within the first couple of episodes, some weird stuff is going to be said by the stars of the show, and there's going to be weird stuff happening in it. And what happened? Weird stuff happened in it. There you go. Netflix cancelled kids show featuring non-binary bison who uses they/them pronouns. Now, the Transformers one is another one that's interesting, and I don't know if the Daily Wire are clued in on that. Maybe you should hit them up and be like, here guys, have a look at this one too, because that tweet that I put out there did gangbusters. It did 250,000 views or something like that. It did serious numbers, and I got over 1,000 likes, and I got a number of creepos into the comments that were like, how could you talk about Transformers without putting trans in the name? What are you talking about? Sad. Do you people buy any merchandise? No, you don't? Okay, so you're just hangers on there, just in here now to just infest this beautiful brand, this brand that I've loved since a child, and you're coming in here to infest it, because that's what you do. Cultural vandals is all you are. And this is the same sort of stuff now that's been pushed upon young kids. So please, if I ask you anything to do this evening, keep an eye on what the kids are watching, because they are pushing this stuff, and they are pushing it overtly, but in their terms, they think it's being subtly pushed. Oh, it's just about acceptance. Now, if you're thinking like this, you need to go and seek professional help. There's many a meme that's out there that's explaining these things here. So, here's something that is out there. Now, again, this is probably not going to be liked, and I don't really care, but this is a group here on Facebook. Now, I'm sure there's a number of people, because this is how these screenshots get out there, by the way. People are in there now that are keeping an eye on this, and they're seeing what's going on. Member of Helping Hand for the Blue and Yellow Flag Waving Country in Ireland since 10th of March 2023. Hello, please advise. My relative with 3 children has been in Poland for a year. If she comes to Ireland, she will be provided with benefits, housing and social payments. I read that some are denied. What was the follow-up to that? Definitely, because Ireland pays the highest social welfare and extra benefits, free accommodation. I have the greatest sympathy for their situation in the blue and yellow flag waving country, but they are now making fools of us. If you're safe in Poland, why not stay there? I agree. If I'm not mistaken, it's only 3 countries which offer time, unlimited social support, and Ireland is one of them. Other countries expect people to reach independence after a specified amount of time, which, in my opinion, is very reasonable. That's legitimately it there, guys. So the scam is on there. These people don't know. Fraudsters coming into the place, like, you know what I mean? Here's the Gardaí, just to remind you as well. The boys in the mask there. Well done, lads. Good stuff. You don't have the red high heels on, though, that day. You know, I'm disappointed in you there. And there you go with the car. Who take this organisation serious anymore? You know what I mean? But here's something from Kamaru Usman, just because it's factoring into what we're talking about. Now, this is a black man, as you can see here. And he's talking about Duplessis is his name. Kamaru says the one thing he's failing to realise is just because I go to China and my parents are in China and I'm raised in China, that doesn't make me more Chinese than people from China. Is Kamaru Usman far right? Is he a far right Istaphobe? That's him. That's Kamaru. Here's the left to be on here looking at this going, because I know that there's a couple of them that rage watch this they do, and that's fair enough. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that. The fact that you're rage watching this makes me very, very happy, because hopefully it's not going to happen, because I know what you people are like. Maybe you might think to yourself, maybe I'm wrong. You think that this guy is the one talking, wouldn't you? No, it's not him. It's this guy. Just because you went over to South Africa and you were raised there, that doesn't make you African. Try to be a little bit more careful with what you say and how you say it. Kamaru Usman responds to Dricus Duplessis, claiming he's the African fighter in UFC. So that was only last week. Now, Kamaru Usman was beaten by Leon Edwards. It was a very close contest, I thought. But also, I did think Leon Edwards won that fight for sure. It was interesting, to say the very least. I do think that Kamaru Usman is not going to retire now, because I think he sees that Colby Covington is waiting in the wings to probably get the title shot next. More than likely, I think, would beat Leon Edwards, and then Kamaru Usman sees us in there to become champion again. That's just personally what I think. But there you go. You've got Kamaru Usman saying what we've been saying for the last number of years, and I'm sure crickets on the left. See, they don't like when guys like Kamaru Usman come out and say things like this, because it just reaffirms what we've been saying, which is, no, just because you're hanging around here doesn't make you Irish. It's just because you've been given a piece of paper doesn't make you Irish, especially by a rogue, out of control regime. It doesn't matter. You're not Irish. And your parents are from where? They're from China, okay? And you're Chinese. Yeah, that's cool. You're not Irish. So that's it. So fair play to Kamaru, just backed up the points that we like to make. And, it's always good to use that here. We keep going now into this. I'm going to try and cap this at the 2.5 hour mark. Maybe even 2, if we can zoom through these now. Twitter thing really took the knees out, because I thought there was a bit more to go there. But anyway, local TD raises concerns over Enoch Burke's impact on Westmead School. That's Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin are like, we don't like what's going on here. Why is that? Well, someone is standing up for their beliefs, morals and principles of a Christian faith. Typical. That's Sinn Féin nowadays, lads. Scam app to be decommissioned despite thousands checking statistics. Idiots. Just 292 cases reported on Monday and 17 passings according to last week. How many of those people were, up to date on what? Strange that, isn't it? They're not talking about that. Almost like they want to move on. TD Paul Murphy and raised new baby gender neutral. Here's the thing, right? This guy is a wally, okay? But I feel sorry for the child, okay? So I'm conflicted. Not that I'm conflicted. I think a lot of people feel that way. The best thing that can happen is that the child becomes red-pilled, becomes a nationalist, and totally rebels against this fella and is completely the opposite. Now, a lot of people are saying and singing chants like, "You're not the da, you're not the da, Paul Murphy, you're not the da." That's what a lot of people are saying. And a lot of people are asking the question of who is the father. Now, you have Paul's missus. Paul's missus, if you didn't know, is called Jess Spear. And she is allegedly from America, allegedly from Seattle. And she's one of the people that's pushing this stuff on. and is commenting herself on social media. Again, here's the thing. I'm not saying to you to go over to her social media and say and post anything to her. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is if this guy seems to be greatly influenced by someone that's American and someone that's obviously a leftist American, which has led to this fella's complete and utter disillusionment with reality, and certainly with his, it's sad to see, it's sad to see a guy that's totally not in the realm of reality whatsoever and is now inflicting this sort of stuff upon a child. Whatever you do behind closed doors or whatever like that, and again, within reason, obviously, and again, legally and stuff like that, is your own business. But then to come out and publicly say this about the child and then be surprised when people are like, that's bullshit, that's absolute bollocks, and you should be looked at very seriously, and then try to hide and say, oh, it's not fair, people are attacking me personally. You did that. You were the one that posted that. You were a fella that was more interested in going around, walking around with people invading the country, Plantation 2.0. You were more interested in that on the day of the birth of the child than actually being in the hospital. I guarantee you there's nothing that would take me away from a hospital. Love nor money nor nothing. Nothing on this earth would take me away from a hospital on that day. I guarantee you that. I honest to God mean that. Nothing. And this fellow was hanging around there with the orcs, the goblins, and the Uruk-hai that have invaded the place. Do you know what I mean? Like, very strange. And that's when people are starting to ask, hang on here, is we're talking about IVF and, you people like to talk about natural selection and science. Was that not supposed to be telling you anything there? Was that not something, someone saying something to you? Anyway, this is a guy that was posting about zero, sniffles and all this sort of stuff and wanted the place locked down more than most, wanted masks and everything like that. Was then out saying that people were kicking him. Never happened. There was no footage of that at all. So when you start then to see some of the actions that this guy has taken and what he's doing, I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I know people may or may not agree with me or disagree with me. Like, this surrogacy, well, I'm not saying this is surrogacy here. What I'm saying is this IVF stuff now like that is for the rich, as you know. And I know some great people, I really do. I know great people that have been unable to do things like that, and my heart goes out to them. And in terms of the sniffles, by the way, the stuff that they gave out for the last year, a lot of people think that this is all over and done with. They think, nobody's just dropping around the place. That's not the point. The point is what's going to happen in 2 to 5 years. What's the long-standing repercussions of this thing? Is there going to be an issue then for children that are born? Is there going to be an issue then for children that are said, for example, fed from their mother? This is something that people have been talking about. And scientists now are starting to compile, now when I say scientists, real scientists, compile data with relation to that. And they're like, no, the feeding passes this here. What about certain other relations then between adults? There's also question marks around that. So the repercussions of what is happening and has happened for the last year are still unknown. A lot of people seem to think, forget about that, just get on with it. No is the answer to that one. But going back on this here, I think this is completely and utterly shocking. And this mocks, in my view, people that use IVF and people that use surrogacy. And I'm saying that, I honest to God mean that I know great people that have tried this method and it hasn't worked for them, or some people that it has worked for and it's been phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see them. They're making great parents, honestly. But this makes a mockery of the whole thing. A complete and utter mockery. And that's why people are starting to suggest, they're like, well, was it you that got the job done? Or was it someone else that got the job done? Because would you do this and would you say this about your own child is what I'm saying and what I'm getting at here. TD Paul Murphy on Raising New Baby Gender Neutral. We're describing Juniper as a baby, but it is male. Now, I know what you're thinking, and you're thinking the exact same thing that I am, which is he's just called the baby it. He knows that the baby is a boy. So instead of saying he's jumping into this pronoun nonsense and calling it an it. An it is something that you refer to as a thing, not as a person. So that's a weird statement, and it's a weird comment. And then they're going through this, we're describing Jumper as a baby, but it is male. What sort of reality are you living in? Now, this fella thinks that it's funny. This fella is like the James Gunn of Irish politics. Bizarre takes, weird takes, lashed over online, quotes it with a little snarky thing. But people on the street think that this fella's a Wally. And listen, I'm sure there's people out there that think I'm a Wally, and that's fair enough. But I have to be honest with you. When you're seeing the sort of ideology coming from Egghead here, look at this fella, no chin or nothing like that at all there. Little tiny little chin. It's always the little soy individuals here. And you've got people that are doing things like this and saying things like this about a baby. Like, it just boggles the mind. And why it boggles the mind further is because you've gone through obvious great lengths. And a lot of people said it at the time. A lot of people said, like, the best of luck and stuff like that with the likes of the IVF and all that, and people that would be vehemently opposed to this guy. They're like, best of luck, hope all goes well and everything like that. But you've just then turned it into a political circus for yourself. The narcissism and ego is off the hook here. And this is what I'm saying to you. If you use that as a political scoring attempt, in better words, I should say, probably you've used that as a bit of media coverage. You've used that as a bit of promotion. When this is a human that you're talking about, this is a human, this is a child, and you're posting about it like this, like, it's baffling. And the fact that you've called the child an it, I think, would baffle most. And again, like I said, it just spits into the face of people that have gone down the IVF route, or some people, and my heart goes out to them, people that have been unable, but they've stayed with that other partner despite not knowing if it's them or if it's the other person, or maybe it's both. My heart 100% goes out to those people, because guys like this here are making a mockery of that whole thing. And I mean, a lot of people said it at the time, and I say it again, people were wishing them well and everything like that. I never would congratulate this fella, because I knew that this was going to be the outcome here. Political point scoring nonsense. And how is it that people before profit keep getting airtime? They have a minimal percentage in government, but they keep getting airtime. Why do they keep getting airtime? Well, Paul Murphy's related to a fella that used to work for RTE. His dad was the CEO of Mars. Who's Richard Boyd Barrett related to? Yeah, his stepfather is Jeremy Irons. So these two people are coming from money. They'll probably come out in the next few years about how Holly Cairns, how much money has been floating around her family. You know what I mean? That's soon as well. But this really put a sickener amongst people, and this really got people talking, because it came to a head over the last couple of weeks, and he decided to put it out in media, and then he's gone, why are people talking about that? That's why, because it's ridiculous stuff. Anyway, we spent enough time on that nonsense. I feel sorry for the child. My best wishes for the child, and God be with the child, because you've been dealt a bad hand in terms of parents there, in my view. No parents at all, they ain't. RTE says this: Meta announces 10,000 global job cuts. Interesting. You're going to see an awful lot of economic migrants start to get out of the country, because they're going to have to try and find work elsewhere or in different companies. But the tech sector is coming down at this moment. You're also seeing a similar sort of situation happening with the banking sector as well too. Deutsche Bank has dropped in shares significantly. Now, why is this all happening at this time? Well, it's happening because, like I said, they want to go to the central bank digital currency. But do you know what I also find interesting? Timing. And I think that these things don't happen for no reason. What's been sold at the moment? And people be like, what are you talking about? Manchester United has been sold at the moment. It is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And it's a global brand at this stage of the game. So they should be looking at an all-time high in terms of profits. They haven't been for the last number of years, of course, because the Glazers have ran the club into the ground. But what has happened is they've decided after 17 years to sell up now. Why? Why have they decided now? Now, these are people that bought the club with debt. So in and around 200 million, they have the club in debt. They were able to purchase it, and they are now looking for 6 billion. That's what the Glazers are looking for. Tell me, who and where do the Glazers attend church? Oh, they're certain people as well too. They wear those little hats as well, do they? Oh, okay. Why are they selling now? That's a weird time to sell. And all of this banking issue is happening right now. But like I said to you before, and the thing with the banking thing is a scare tactic as well also. Don't forget about that. They're using the banking thing to frighten people, because you have multi-millionaires and billionaires out there that hold money in banks and obviously other assets. People are talking about assets now more than ever. There's a lot of average people that are talking about investing into assets and bonds and stuff like that. Again, I'm not a financial expert or anything like that, but a lot of them are like, withdraw your money from the bank. That's what a lot of financial experts say. I'm not saying that. I'm not, giving you any advice here or anything like that. A lot of people are talking about withdrawing money from the bank, taking money away from it, and starting to use it. I know people out there, by the way, that religiously, and I say religiously, I know you're using that term and shouldn't probably use that term, but repeatedly take their money from the bank. And someone would say that the bank was called and would be like, you're taking out your money, what's the story with that? And they're like, no, that's my money. Don't be worrying about what I'm doing with my money. And the bank are uppity about that, of course, because they're like, hang on here, because that money isn't hanging around. Those ones and zeros aren't hanging around in their account nor in their premises. And again, like everyone knows, if you have 20 grand in the bank, can you go in tomorrow and say, give me 20 grand? No, you can't. You know what I mean? So when you're saying things like this here, this is all leading to one problem. And the problem is to centralize everything. And then with this 15-minute city stuff, this 15-minute city stuff has after been on the council.ie. That's out there now as well. They're starting to try that also. Specsavers optometrist guilty of professional misconduct after failing to reveal 10-year gap in testing eyes. Nagesh Puranik, of course, that's a clear Irish name there, as you know, who admitted on TV he hadn't tested eyes in a decade, failed to diagnose clinical issues in a number of patients. So cowboyism going on around the country, of course, now that they're setting up things in the likes of Limerick, they're calling people listophobes for noticing things like this. These things they're going to try and have fly under the radar even more than usual. Stephen Gerrard poses with Kay foot soldier after a Paddy's Day party in Conor McGregor's pub. So what? Why are you interested in following these people around and stalking them and posting about their lives? You see, here's the thing on what's going on and why the media are panicked and why they keep talking about these people. And it's something that someone said in a previous video as well, which is if the going gets tough, then you're going to have people forming alliances with certain people. And at the end of the day, my attitude and my feeling is this. These people didn't stop. And I don't know what these people do. I know that the family are involved with the boxing industry and they've become very successful there, which is why people in high power positions don't like that, because they like to keep money within themselves. Did you know, by the way, that allegedly every sitting US president has been related in one way to every other president other than one? So one president out of all of them have been related in some way. Weird that, isn't it? And you're starting to see the dynasties as well too here now in this country, ain't you? Look at all the political people that are here and the little ties that are going on there. The people that are married to each other, people that are in relationships with each other. Interesting, isn't it? You're seeing the little dynasties there now and it's starting to come more to the fore. But why are you bothered about these people? These people haven't bothered me at all. They haven't stopped my civil rights. They didn't take my liberties. They weren't standing outside a gym or a pub or a restaurant asking me to show certain things to gain entry to that. Never affected me at all. But the media are going mad after these guys all of the time. Why? Because it's very clear and obvious to see. They know that these guys possess things and have the means to get certain things. And they don't like that because they want this country to be utterly helpless. And I think they will try to do it because they're starting to talk about it. Why do you think that they're trying to set up institutions? Guess what's happening next and what's going to happen next? They're going to stick people from other places in uniform. That's what they're going to do. And then when you point it out and go, hang on here, they're going to say, oh, you're an istophobe. That's what they're going to try. So I don't know about you, but history has certainly told me that sometimes the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And to me, I'm sure that guys within certain groups now are starting to look at the media over the last number of years who have said things, who have speculated, who have caused rumours and caused rifts and have caused problems. Those guys should be sitting down and start thinking to themselves about what's been going on. That would just be me, allegedly, speculatively. But Sunday World, interested in doing that, interested in going around talking about Phil Dwyer. Any interest there, lads, in talking about the sniffles and all the scamming that went on there and all the stuff that came out since then? No? Not interested in any of the suddenlies or asking questions to families or like that. And that's how journalism should be. It should be like, okay, we've had a family here and they've had a tragic incident happen. Any chance of revealing the status there, guys, so that we can put a bit of a correlation between these things that are happening? No questions like that at all. Oh, you think that's offensive? Oh, right. So you think that asking someone's status after they are no longer in this plane of existence is offensive, but you didn't think it was offensive to bar people from restaurants, pubs, gyms, cinemas, And indeed, then social gatherings and stuff like that. You didn't think that that was wrong then, no? You didn't think that was offensive then, no? Then you were talking about banning people from their jobs and banning people from the supermarket. Jerry Horkin, Senator Jerry Horkin. You weren't asking those questions, no? Oh, no. All right. Well, here's the thing. I don't give a fuck. Because now I'm going to ask these questions. I'm going to talk about these things. Because why shouldn't people ask these things? They absolutely should. Because you ain't doing your job. Gardaí arrested over alleged food delivery rider extortion racket. 4 Dublin-based officers suspended as part of investigation by anti-corruption officers. Just constant stories, isn't there, really? When my electricity bill started to come down. Oh, that's like asking how long is a piece of string. And the people that you're asking are the people holding the piece of string that are just unraveling it longer and longer. Oh, yeah, keep going there. Here's the thing, what they've done in the likes of the UK. They've decided not to pay bills on due dates collectively and said, no, we're not doing that. So they had to freeze the payments. What did they do in France? In France, in the last 48 hours, the electricians in France have cut the power to Emmanuel Macron's house. They're also talking as well to plumbers about cutting the gas to his house. Now, I'm not endorsing nor supporting nor advocating for anything like that happening. But I'm just saying that that's what's been reported as what's happening in France. You know? I think that's interesting. Just one prosecution in 4 years for failing to produce passport on arrival in Ireland. More than 4,200 people arrived at Dublin Airport last year with no travel documentation. So they were sent promptly back on their way, ready? No, they weren't. What were the Gardaí doing? Oh, that's right, yeah, they were interrupting masses. Yeah. They were blockading roads. Yeah. They were in Dublin city centre in Ryker. Yeah. Why was that? Because of the sniffles? Right, yeah. What about this sort of stuff that's happening in the courts? Yeah, they're bringing people to court because they were nearly 5 kilometres away from their home. Right. What about this here? No interest in that there at all. Just waved on. Well, according to some of these people, they're saying now that the Gardaí are pointing at this stuff. You're at an all-time low, guys, in terms of morale and support from the people. You know? Yeah. It's nice to see you starting to join the right side of history. It's late, but better late than never, is what I always say. Galway people warned, watch out for deadly gang after serious incident. It is feared that the gang may target Galway next. What did the gang look like? You've no description of the gang? No, nothing. You have a description of a car, but no description of the gang. If they were white and Irish, you'd know. That's just how, you know. This is basically like Yankee media now, which is if they omit the race, you know what the race is inadvertently. You know, because the media have proven it over the last while that they'll say, white Irish. Yeah. PSB profits soared to 847 million in 2022. So you're paying too much for electricity, just as you know. Nigerian politician, wife, daughter, and doctor guilty of certain stuff to the UK. Great stuff, lads. That's fantastic. You know, you're doing great stuff there. So now check like that for these people coming into the country, of course, you know. Charlie Board was crying non-stop. What a wet wipe. When he heard Ryan Tubridy was stepping down. I keep saying it, and I must do it, but I have to do a video on Charlie Board because Charlie was geeking out about taking the jabroni as quick as possible on his cohort and all that, and then suddenly seemed to be having problems. Now, I don't know about you, and again, I know people be out there being like, Ninja, you can't link everything to this thing. I'm just saying that blood clots, strokes, heart attacks, and cases of the suddenlies seem to dramatically have been on the rise for the last year, and nobody seems to be asking the question, which is, did you take, you know what, and how many of them did you take? So, I don't know about you guys, but question marks there, crying non-stop. God, this is what's been promoted by RTE, by the way, just as you know. They're promoting femboys here like these guys. They're promoting fellas that are completing with their soy boys, and it's shocking to see. Where's the masculinity? Who's on RTE? Oh, they've got Rory Stories. What's he talking about? Oh, he's talking about being depressed. Right, and you're a comedian. Great stuff. Who are you on next there? PJ Gallagher. What's he doing? I'm depressed as well. Okay, great stuff. Who else do we got there? We've got Emer O'Neill. What's she talking about? She's talking about ism in Ireland. Okay, well, she's not happy. She should leave. Or else we got Denise Choila. She's talking about ism in Ireland. Again, if you make it a stop, not a stay. That's going to be my motto for these people. Make it a stop, not a stay. On your way. What's happening there? Nothing else? No? Okay. And then you've got guys like this. Meanwhile, you've got up here above Oh my God, guys, OMG, they're in Conor McGregor's pub. Now, listen, if I was Conor McGregor, and very seriously, if anybody out there knows him, tell him he should run for president here of Ireland because we've had enough of this nonsense, and I would vote for him because he's a dude with money, and he has said publicly that he would hold people accountable for what they've been doing, and they did have to answer to him. Could you imagine a fellow like him in there? And I don't give a rat's. People would be like, "Guy's too unpredictable." Good. That's what you want. Otherwise, you've got the little dwarf in there now going, the people don't seem to understand that they're racist and xenophobic. And they're saying that they don't want Ireland to be flooded with people. No, that's called self-preservation. That's called preservation of society going forward. And people are concerned with their local areas being turned into Gotham City and into slums. That's what they're concerned about there. Now, would probably be a good time for some of those stories to be certified and verified by people. You know, stories I'm talking about there, allegedly, speculatively, you know, in relation to that dude. Not too long ago as well, too, we opened up the Oris as well, too. Curious case of words there. To people as well, too, from the Rainbow Group. That was weird, wasn't it? But loads of energy there for running around and linking Conor McGregor with people, and they're like, oh my God, I couldn't give a shit what these people are doing. I really don't. Having a good time, is that nice one? Have a good one. Enjoy. You know what I mean? But clown world is constantly on the rise here, and no more so than okay, we're going to keep going at Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has done nothing but good things. He was actually someone, by the way, that the media won't acknowledge either, that was fronting up the cash for Katie Taylor to fight in Ireland, to fight in Croke Park. He said he'd pay the security bill. You know what I mean? Like, none of these politicians were out there doing that. They weren't trying to sort that out. And there's Conor going for someone that's a very popular person in Ireland, in Katie Taylor, and was looking to sort it out, deny it. You know what I mean? And yet they have this here. Oh, he's crying non-stop. Embarrassing. You should be ashamed of yourself. And here's the thing. People that say, you know, men have been taught, and here's the difference between men, and women will be in the chat and they go, oh, men are taught to be men for specific reasons. Without masculinity in the world, things wouldn't be the way they are. You see, it's great for women to be emotional and to feel emotions and to share their emotions. That's great. But if the two is, if a woman is coming to a man and the man is emotional all the time, you ain't going to be any sort of use then when the going gets tough. And that's the idea and why men are taught and trained to be tough, and also then to hold their emotions in check and to be calm and assertive and show leadership. That's why men are where they are. And this is why you are seeing participation trophies being given out to people that shouldn't be anywhere near the reins of leadership. And what you've seen over the last number of years, because we have seen it play out, is in particular leftist women that have been at the reins of places and now have let men into the women's sports and have decided to go, yes, no problem. Nonsense. You know what I mean? Whereas if you got guys there that were full of testosterone and masculinity, go, no, I'm not having that there at all. That wouldn't be a runner. You know what I mean? You've got this fella then over here, I'm crying non-stop because Ryan Tuberty's stepping down. What a strange thing to do. I'd be with the days when the likes of John Wayne used to be on your screens and Clint Eastwood, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about those guys because those guys were macho guys and definitely give off the good vibes and good role models. And again, you know, as I keep saying to people, my role models come from my own father and grandfather as well. You know, men, real men. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. You've got guys like this then being given airtime. Oh, I'm sad. Shut up. You know what I mean? The best Enoch Borg floats from around the country. So I just showed you the above article there that states that the school seemed to have been allegedly, speculatively telling lies. And this was their laws. Oh, laws, look what we're doing. Freedom of speech and expression is to be mocked. Complete gambins. And suffered heart attack following alleged confrontation with off-duty Garda. Security officer is critically ill in hospital following the incident early late on Monday night and is fighting for his life in a Dublin hospital. Is that not strange? Simeon Burke sent back to jail as he tells judge he was illegally arrested and incarcerated and missed his law exams. Enoch Burke's younger brother has been remanded in custody. And by the way, what they did, people in uniform, to this family was nothing short of disgraceful and disgusting. Absolutely out there. And the way Philip Dwyer, by the way, was manhandled on St. Patrick's Day by that guard in particular was disgraceful. And I would highly recommend that you watch Philip's live stream from St. Patrick's Day and view the behaviour of the Gardaí. Look at some of the faces too. Some of them are unsure about doing what they're doing. But there are a couple in there now that are delighted to be doing what they're doing, and particularly the one that Philip had words with. Also, the superintendent. That's just my view. And what you see here now is a family being treated absolutely shambolically. The rule of law is out the window here, and this country is upside down. It's inverse. In a functioning society, the school would have been laughed out of the room with what they wanted to do. Enoch Burke would be still in the position that he's in and would still be doing his job. Instead, you've got a clown show where a man was put into jail for 3 months because he decided to go to work. At the same time, the media are saying that there's a teacher shortage, and so much so of a shortage that they want to put foreigners in as teachers. They want to take away the Irish requirement. Sound familiar? That happened in the Gardaí. They want to do the same thing in teaching. Meanwhile, you've got a guy there with principles that's following the code, and the ethos of the school, the Christian ethos of the school, has been told that this thing is overriding what the ethos is of the school. That's insanity. That's completely wrong. It's out of bounds. And now you have a family being treated shambolically by people in uniform. Tell you what, not good. 20 students protest against dining roads at college canteen. Goofballs, one and all. And these are people that want to be in the canteen but not pay for the food in the canteen. They want to bring their own food with them. I mean, that's the world you're living in now. It's mad stuff. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. And people feel that they're entitled to this sort of stuff. Oh, I can bring my stuff in there. What? That's like bringing your sandwich into McDonald's and sitting in McDonald's. You'd be promptly moved on. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Oh no, we have rights to stay. You're not buying anything here though. Get out. You know what I mean? 5 hospitalised and 2 men charged after fight at City West refugee hub. Facility has been closed to new arrivals since late January amid unprecedented pressure on state system for receiving and integrating refugees. Tarnish, the Enoch Burke case shows homeschooling risks isolation. And as I said there, who was he to tell people what to do? In an interview with the Irish Examiner in New York, Mr. Martin said he does not want to sound patronising, which he's going to, but said that he finds it sad and disquieting. Who is he to tell anybody else what to do? What is it there that the family of the Burkes have 10 children, is it? And 7 of them have PhDs? I think they're doing okay. What do you think? What do you reckon about that? I think they're doing fine. Meanwhile, this goof out here is throwing his eyes up to heaven when someone's asking about why is a man in a woman's prison. LARPing as a woman. You know what I mean? So I think, if anything, this homeschooling thing has actually been promoted over the last couple of years, and I think even more so in the last year or so. And the state is afraid of that. They're afraid of people being able to go, hold on here for a second. I don't like what you're doing. I don't stand for that, and I'm out here. And is that last week's stream? No, it's not. Ukrainian model. I mean, anyone is a model these days. Look at the chops on this thing here. Oh my God. The term model has been used very loosely, very, very loosely here. I remember a time when models had to be absolutely outstanding, gorgeous looking women. Look at that. You know what I mean? Fleeing her home. She's worth a couple of million from what I understand. And she's looking around here in Ireland. Look at me. Oh. Number in direct provision doubled to 20,000 in a year. Holy moly, that's way too many people. Send them home. Local TD reserve. That's the. There we go. Sinn Féin's Sorcha Clark. Local TD raises concerns over Enoch Burke's impact on Westmead School. And there is 2 weeks ago show. So that's it. I'm all caught up. I might see if we can get onto Twitter now. Just give me a second. I hope it doesn't break up again. Gab doesn't seem to have acted too bad tonight, which is good to see. And that's the thing about Gab. I love it. If you're not already over here on this social media site, I would highly recommend getting over here. I've learned so many things on Gab. I've talked to so many people, which is great. And your freedom of expression isn't inhibited on this site. And I think that that's highly important. I think it's really important that your freedom of expression isn't limited. And especially not on these websites, because that's what information is about, and this is an informational situation that we're living in now at the moment, and good information is very valuable. And like I said, people are breaking the cycle now from decades worth of being told complete and utter nonsense, and now they're going, okay, right, here's one issue that we have, and that seems like there's problems, and that's linked to something else. People have gotten to the stage where they're breaking the cycle, and I like to see it. And there's more and more people that are hungry for their information. And here's the thing. You might not buy into everything. And should you? You should believe what you think is real. And you should believe what you think obviously makes sense. But I think what's happening over the last while is people are starting to look and starting to say to themselves, "Man, that doesn't make sense," and neither does that over there. I mean, look at the situation at hand where they have shifted the entire narrative over the last couple of weeks into talking about Doubtfires. Nobody has any interest in that group at all, but they keep pushing it as if it's something to be pandered to. Was it less than 1% of the population? So why? Why has it been pandered to? Because it's all about money. Because they can stand to earn millions from these people, from the different types of stuff that they be going on to surgeries and stuff like that. And now you've got people that are going back the other way and they're like, don't do this. This is a bad idea. I have all sorts of problems. I've mental issues now. I've physical issues now. And the reality of the situation, people think this is something that you can change just at will and there's not going to be a problem. I would seriously contemplate looking into them if I was you and start looking at it and saying to yourself, okay, this is a lot more difficult than we think it is. Right, so I'm going to show you a couple of videos. It's 14,000 views, and you've got an African in our country accusing one of our own of stealing. It doesn't work out too well for him. Look how comfortable he is waving his finger into the face of one of our people. You won't be telling people, as I said up here in their own country, to stop shouting. This is what he does. He has his finger fully in our face. Outrageous stuff that's going on. And this is the difference between Irish people and the Yanks, because what she says here now as well, and people be like, oh my God, people are starting to have enough. You guys run, all right? Stop shouting. This bag was used to run. This bag was used to run. Don't be scared to be a black bastard. So you got, the woman was proved right there. The person that was working there was like, no, you're wrong there. So interesting to see that now, I have to be honest with you. He'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe that. If you haven't seen Boy Ritchie movie, there's a similar sort of confrontation that happens. And, if you're stating facts, here's what happened in Mullingar. The people stopped the bus from going in and the bus had to go away. Fuck off! Close your ears. Bring the rest of the Ritchie! Go on home, foreign soldiers, go on home. Have you got no fucking homes of your own? So anyway, I just want to throw this up as well too, because there's a couple of different things that I wanted to show you, obviously, on. I don't know if this is going to pan out. Anyway, I just said I'll throw it to the end of the stream because to make sure the show went swimmingly. So register for the TUS Athlone campus CAO open evening, 19th of April, 6 to 8 p.m. Now, what do you notice about this picture here? Who is front and center? Well, you've got two black people, one in green, of course, because that's the new Irish, as they like to call them. You've got a number of people here in the background that are out of focus. So, of course, the white people are out of focus because they don't matter. That's what you're subliminally being taught by an image like this. And I wrote underneath it, and I said, since when is Ireland an African country? Now, this post got 14 likes. It has 56 comments, most of them negative, and 28,000 views. I have 407 views, and I got 19 likes on that. So I've now gotten 5 more likes than this place, this university. And what was the university's response? Well, it was to tell Paddy, your opinion is not wanted nor warranted. Now, I don't know who I am or what I am. I could have been applying to this place. And they're basically telling you now that your opinion isn't worth anything to them. Again, like I said, these people would have been down on both knees to Oliver Cromwell, would have been welcoming in, and the invasion that would have happened at that point in time, and the plantation, of course. So blocked by a university for asking a very simple question, because guess why? I was getting more likes than them, and they weren't able to respond with a decent response. This is what's been taught in your universities now. open conversation and debate and questioning of why these images are being put up there isn't allowed. This is something that was noted, by the way, at a previous protest, which was showing people that have come obviously straight from college with weirdo looking haircuts, with weird American accents, and are talking about all sorts of injustices that are happening to people. Meanwhile, they're totally unaware of instances that happen to our own people here in this country, like Aisling Murphy and like the two men in Sligo that were perpetrated by people north of this land. Unaware of them, don't care. Crime rates rising, criminal reporting, or I should say criminal activity reporting, journalists denying that our new entrants have contributed to the increase in crime levels. Denying it completely. Let's have a look at what Joe's saying.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
Listen, whatever he says, believe the opposite of it. That's just what I'm going to say. That's just a bit of just, and you know, Jocelyn, Deutsche Bank shares fall more than 10% after a sudden spike in the cost of insuring against its default. That's not good. That's one of the biggest banks around. And Deutsche Bank are out and are like, everything's cool here, guys. I would seriously doubt that. Like, say it up now.
Exercise of their contractual rights, they're closing her account. No, she's had the account for 4 years. She's had no problem with the bank. She doesn't owe them a penny. She doesn't go to my protests, or she doesn't take part in my videos. But they're closing her account with no excuse whatsoever. She went in and she spoke to the bank manager. And she asked the bank manager if she could point to any reason for her account being closed, and the bank manager said, "We're just closing it. You need to open a new account with a different bank and transfer your funds from this bank into your new bank." She would not give her any other excuses. Now, this, to me, is the government and the bank trying to punish my wife and my children for my opinions and for what I do, and it's nothing other than that. And it shows you the lengths that they will go to try to silence their critics. But yeah.
I jumped again, Twitter. I don't know what's going on with it tonight. But anyway, that's the video there from Darren Super Stuff he is. And look that been targeted. So very similar to what's been happening in the likes of Canada there as well, where there's no reason for these guys being targeted at all other than they're throwing wrench into the plans of these people. And I get notice they're obviously gaining as well to support, and that's very important obviously when it comes to these things, and these people really understand that they're like, oh, but as I keep saying to people, the likes of doing things like this just makes Derek, and as he keeps saying, he's like, this is not going to make me stop. He's like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. He's like, you think I'm going to stop? No chance at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the chat now. We have been streaming for 2 hours and 18 minutes. We're approaching 2:20, so I'm going to try and go through as quick as possible. I want to keep these things as, I suppose, short as possible, the streams, to make sure that people enjoy them and they're able to check in then whenever suits. All right. So thanks very much to everybody that jumped in to the live chat that's watched live. We've had over 100 people here tonight listening in. Thank you very much so again. And I very, very much so appreciate you people being in here, listening and commenting, and then sharing the news with other people and putting them away to what's going on. So thank you. Thanks to everyone that supports and follows me on the different social media apps. I'm to get a number of notifications there tonight on Instagram and Twitter and Gab. Gab is really important that people are over there now following, and they become followers now of the profile. So thanks very much. So let's keep going. In Steve Dixon says deep state anti ninja. It's Twitter. Twitter's a joke, man, trying to play it. It used to be all right, but obviously it's bugging out like. Sean Max says put 50 cents in the mirror ninja. Let's keep going now. Let's have a look through the chat. Anyone gone to see the new John Wick movie? Looks good, doesn't it? Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, you need to get the manager now. Speak to the manager. A lot of people here are not fans of AIB. It's coming from 20 past 8. Let's keep going. Sure. Derek McManus says, Ninja Knight, we need to get Dave Cullen on for a pop culture stream sometime. Yeah, I'd love that. Absolutely. I'd be up for that. Talking to Dave Cullen for sure. I would, I think I'm doing a stream soon with Orbital Bacon. I'm talking about Transformers. That's a pop culture stream. So just as you know about that, because sometimes I put the streams out and people are like, talking about Ireland, and I'm like, no, I'll be talking about something else. Sometimes you need a break. Just going to be honest with you on that one. That's why you see some of the different videos from me. I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea. I appreciate people that do watch it. And sometimes you just need to be like, I'm going to talk about this thing today. Steve Dixon says, PJ Gallagher tried to slag off to wear a stay of him comedian that isn't a bit funny. Yeah, that's it. These people that are out there that are hanging on to the coattails of people in power, and you're like, pfft. And when I say people in power, the power is with the people. Not people that are running around like Leo Varadkar in suits there, a fella that's obviously, he's like Spock if Spock was Botoxed up to the nines and had a fairly decent tan. He's starting to become odder and odder looking, I think, maybe the stress is getting to him. Who knows? But when you see people out there talking about different things and they're able to have a chat about different entertainment industries and what interests them, I think, it's important because you need to be able to chat about different things to get the mind off at times, because this stuff, telling you some of the stuff you had to say, you'd be like, weigh you down, man. But you have to be happy and have a good life. That's my prerogative, and obviously as well too, what I always say to people, enjoy yourselves, have a good time. Sheepdog says they shut down an individual's bank accounts but were complicit in the financial destruction of a nation was AIB. Yeah. In July, they seem to be upset by the truth. Well, here's the thing. These banks were saved by the people. They were saved by the people. And now they're turning around and doing things like this. And then they were the ones as well too that tried to enforce the cashless stuff as well. So don't forget that. Again, like I keep saying, people would say, oh, well, there's no way out. And what do we do? It takes someone with big money to set up a new bank account, or a new bank. And that's it. These places will all have to go, oh, we're back to it now again. Drag them back. And this is the thing. I'm surprised that no one has done it so far, because I'm sure that there's big guys that are out there with a lot of money that are looking at what's going on and saying, I'm not a fan of this here at all, because they're in trouble when this thing comes down. They don't want Conor McGregor having money. They don't want his family having money. They don't want average people having money. They don't want these people having that money. They want themselves to have it, and they want themselves to be the ones that are the arbiters of what's been said and what can be said. Nah, no interest in that. Let's keep having a look here. Sheepdog says Juniper would see gets revenge. Well, here's the thing. I think when it comes to this, I think maybe that will end up happening, where there'll be a serious change. And I think it's sad. Ultimately, as I said to you before, it makes a mockery of the whole thing, doesn't it? Leon Cordes says Ninja down accents. Woo. I think I can speak. I'm stumbling over my words here now at the moment. Let's keep going here through the chat. We've got Esther McDonald's is in the chat there as well too. Humans 8 is there. Black lesbian poets in here. You're hitting all of the lefty stuff there. You're black. You're a lesbian. You're a poet. Very good. I know you've been in here a long time anyway. Good account. Very funny account. Post some of the stuff that's out there as well. Manuel Gutton's another one as well too. That good laugh. A lot of people in the chat enjoy the more random stuff that the guys post out there. Let's keep going now here. People talking about Nigeria in the chat. Let's keep going here now. We've got someone in here that's like, no such thing as white Irish. How many centuries of it there? Oh my God, there's no such thing as it. Yeah, listen, people that are living in the likes of Africa and all that for centuries and all that, they all seem to share a common look, do they not? And then these are the same people, by the way, left to be like, the people that are South Africans that look like Elon Musk aren't real Africans. Oh, that's interesting. But the same doesn't apply here, no. What about the likes of the borders there in the blue and yellow flag waving country? You're real concerned about them. Oh, yeah. What about the borders here? You're an istophobe if you don't want their borders to be opened. You're on the queue line too long, dude. Era O'Callaghan says, Ninja Knight, well, pal, hope all is well. Sorry I'm late. I'm about an hour behind. Like, share, and subscribe, you beautiful people. Thanks very much. Blue Grand One says, the Irish Freedom Party have been doing good work in fairness. Yeah, have you? Sheepdog says, Ninja Knight, you'll have to show the Afro-Caribbean fella saying the Irish stole Ireland from the pygmies from Africa and racism. So funny. Send it on to me. I haven't seen that. Is that the one that I was talking about not too long ago? He was out again. Yeah, man, Dre Cannon. He was going up into an apartment and the fella was there and he was like, you can't bring the stove in there. It's a fire hazard. And he was like, look at these white people, man. It's a fire hazard, you muppet. They're so racist to me. Okay. If that's the case, why don't you leave? Era O'Callaghan says, Super Chats are back. Woohoo. Time for a night's hype train. Sent to 5. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Eric Alice is in here, says, the reason why none of these people have decent haircuts or decent clothes is because they want to appear as an ordinary person to the public. My opinions anyway. Cheers for your time, man. That's something that I was talking about earlier on, and I really... Neil Aroctig says, what was Ninja's angle about Arteta's hair? Didn't catch it. Seems fairly basic. I don't know. He looks like a Lego man, is what I was saying. And Arteta is a lot of rumours swirling about him as well. But in talking about haircuts and style and stuff like that, these people are on tens of thousands, and none of them seem to be able to dress appropriately or have any sort of style. They all look odd, you know. Ninja Knight says Fergus Power. Norman Foley. That yoke has a jawline Desperate Dan would be jealous of. Defo part of the Doubtfire Brigade. Ireland forces accepted today. Fully legit party now, brother. Awesome. Great to see. Great to see that. I seen Derek post that up earlier on, and I really like that. I really, really like that, and I think it's great to see that. And I hope that people around the country, like I said before, you get Philip Dwyer in and around. You give Mike Connell a shout, satirical soldier in his area. You know, these are people that should be running for office in my view. You know, I really do believe that these are guys that are stalwarts. You know, Ferguson there as well too, another guy that's out there that's talking about things and is very straightforward with these things. These are people that should be running for these positions. Stephen Kerr, I like him as well. You know, should be running for positions in government, because to me, you need ordinary people in there, people that are real people. Torpin says, Derek Bloyd gave Ninja a shout out last night. Absolute legend. Fair play to Derek. I know, and here's the thing about Derek, right? And this is how you know that Derek is a decent skin. I did a stream not too long ago, and I was critical of Derek because Derek was on the phone and he was talking about that with the producers of an RTE program, and he's talking about 50% of the housing being given to the blue and yellow flag waving people and 50% to the Irish, and they were like, no. And I was like, Derek, 100% to the Irish, no quarter given. And I was quite critical, but that goes to show you that he took it on board. Obviously, not my comments, certainly not. I wouldn't think, but he's, you know, very strong for the Irish people, and I like that. And a lot of people, this is the media articles that they want to write about him as well too, saying he's against all this sort of stuff. Listen, a lot of people look at the likes of, and a lot of people are different to me, and I hold my own opinions. I don't think Ireland should be accommodating any refugees. There's plenty of other places that they can do that. Not here. Place is full. There's plenty of other places that can accommodate asylum seekers. Place is full, in my view. There's plenty of other places that can use unskilled people. Not here. To me, we have enough of all of it. And I think that you need to be looking at it from that viewpoint. However, that's okay if someone shares a different viewpoint that says, oh no, I think we should let people in. Listen, and I said to you before, if you need someone in this country, I'm open to that. Where if you need, I don't know, a specific type of surgeon that holds a specific degree, yeah, okay, bring that person in. But do you think that I think that we need more nurses in the place from different places? No. Because why? Because when you decide to open that up then to people from other places, they'll come in, they'll work for anything. And that means then that any sort of negotiation tactic that the nurses had is out the window. That's a cause and effect. So that's why you're seeing nurses from here go, the money's not good, I'm out of here. And a vicious cycle, of course. You know what I mean? And people won't go into the profession then, and the profession is losing the... Now, again, this is a broad general comment here, but I've engaged with nurses over the last few years, and some people that are very understanding and are excellent at their job aren't from this country. That's a fact. I've engaged with people that are from this country that are horrific at their jobs, and they're not nice people. But at the same token, the entirety of the organization is over a barrel when it comes to negotiations, because there's people that are there that are like, yeah, we'll accept whatever pay, because they don't come from anything. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to get at here? If you come from absolutely nothing and you're coming here and you're getting something, you're like, oh, that's happy days, we'll take whatever. That shouldn't be the way things go. And not only that then, but you're also then seeing people, and again, specific people that have been talking to me when they've had stays in holidays, or not on holidays, in hospitals, and they've talked about specific people in those jobs that couldn't give a jot about the people that are in there. Now that's concerning. You know what I mean? So again, it's not everyone, and I know it's a broad thing to say sometimes, but ultimately, I think you're losing your position in terms of negotiation when you have an open borders policy for everyone and anyone coming in. That's a big problem, really big problem. And I think that's why there should be a cap on immigration. And also then, here's the thing. The government don't want that, because they're able to take more money off people and pay people less than if they have an open borders policy, and then use this whole thing to say, oh, you don't like people from other places. That's not the point. The point is that the standard of living for the likes of a nurse and like that has gone down the swanny because you've opened the place up. Same with other professions. They're going to do the same to the Gardaí next. The Gardaí is going to be an absolute hogwash of a job going forward, because they're going to pay them buttons. They're going to get people that are not going to be good at the job. Not to say that everyone's great at the job in the Gardaí at the moment, but the financial incentive for you to be there in that job and for that job to be a good job is now slowly on the way out. So then what you're going to have, then you're going to have people that are bad at their job or don't want to do the job. Do you know what I mean? So all these things have a cause and effect, in my opinion. And I think, to be honest with you, keeping the border up is important. And I think keeping standards high is very important. No other country would be at this sort of nonsense, you know? McKevitt says, for God's sake, that face is making me feel ill. How could you put Eamon Ryan's face on the screen? Oh, man. Seeing him look around China and be like, I've learned a lot. I can't do an Eamon Ryan. We've learned a lot about China in the last few weeks. He speaks like, I don't know, he speaks like one of those old-timey kind of Dracula cartoons, doesn't he? Except it's not Transylvania, it's Irish, you know? It's a weird way of talking. I've spent a lot of time around there talking to the likes of people in China. Oh, yeah? What's that government been doing for the last few years? Lads. Steve Dixon says, GAA gone catch this. Big no-no, in my opinion. GAA on the current leadership is finished. They're all in the diversity stuff as well, too. You know what I mean? Not good. GAA is on the way out as well. That has been very quickly compromised. Have a look down through the chat there. A lot of people taking pictures. I've seen some people in the chat talking about pictures there from the likes of the city centre. People looking around outside the Dole offices as well too, and 100% of the people hanging outside non-Irish. You know. Point Man says, "Late to the party, folks. I hope you all have a great weekend. Also, great to have you back, Ninja." Says the Point Man. Much appreciated. Thanks very much, man. Good to see you here. Derek Man says, "Rugby is a great game. One of the few sports where the entire team is selected from the whole island." Isn't there an Australian, I think, playing for Ireland? Isn't there a Mac or something like that, isn't it? That's another weird one. Australia's, not Australia. Maybe talking about Australia. Rugby's a weird sport. Oh, you play for the local club. I'm very, very low in terms of information about rugby, but I do know that how long do you have to be in a country and you can play for that country then? That's weird to me. It's very strange. Very strange. You know, you've got guys hanging around in France. Was it someone that was playing for France? And they were Irish or something like that. And I was like, that's bizarre. Why would you be playing for them? Weird. Oh, because you played for a French club. That's stupid. You know what I mean? That's like a fella going over and playing for Manchester United and he's Irish. And then, like Robbie Brady, for example. Robbie Brady plays for Manchester United, or he can play for England. That's ridiculous. He's Irish. Now, I do think that they'll end up doing that, they will, because it's going to get... there was a picture that came out there now during the week, and it was the under-15s. I'm not showing the picture here, obviously, but the under-15s of the Irish team, I think something like, was it 6 of them in the squad were black? No. It says Transformers has been pushing, discussing stuff since the G1 cartoon between a mixed species relationship and Transformers female. The IDW stuff is where it really took off, you know. The Michael Bay stuff, that's why you see the message boards are just full of soy individuals, because they didn't like Michael Bay doing Transformers because they were masculine, patriotic projects. They really didn't like it. I was like, I'm all here for this, you know. G.I. Joe, on the other hand, didn't seem to get off to a good start and then faltered again in the second movie. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight is it true that the new 007 might be a he, she, they, them, neither? After the last movie, it wouldn't surprise me because that movie was absolute nuts because it was just so poor. I was really disappointed in it because I thought Daniel Craig was a good Bond, but he ended up being totally soy in the end. Fergus Power says, Ninja Knight, good night and God bless you all. Much love from my house to yours, okay? It stays in the Bible 365 times. Do not fear, we are all covered all year round. Stay positive, you'll never beat the Irish. Great to see you here, man. Appreciate it. God bless. Chris Quirk says, Google the newsmakers why Poland does not have an illegal immigrants problem in their country. Yeah, Poland is them and Hungary. They're starting to try and push people to try and talk about Hungary and Poland, and it's like, nah, people like what they're doing. People like what they're up to there, and they want to build that in their country. Uganda is another interesting one now because, to be honest with you, people are going to look at that and be like, look what they're doing, and they're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe you support Uganda. And then people are going to just turn around and go, that's an ism from you. You don't like what Uganda's doing? That's an ism. They're doing it in their own country. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, I thought that parents giving their children off names was bad, but what Murphy and his wife are doing, I don't think they're married, by the way. I think they're actually just partners. Are doing what their child deserves to be investigated by Child Protection Services. I hate this Ninja Knight, that Paul Murphy not being at the birth smells of Scientology. Wonder if his board is Scientologist. That is an interesting comment. That is an interesting comment. People are chatting in the chat there. I'm just trying to scan through now because I'm seeing that the likes of the Ninja Knight usually catches me attention. It does much quicker. And some people are talking. Jason Irish Red sent 5. It says thank you, Ninja. Much appreciated, man. Dixon sent 5. Didn't say anything. Say something when you send that, lads. You know, send something. Rommel says FSG pulled the plug. Explain that. It's weird. I think when you see the likes of the football teams being sold, particularly like Manchester United and Liverpool, it's like those fellas are gearing up for something, and them two being Yanks says a lot. Sean Mack says Drew Harris announced today that the only interested in immigrants living here and Irish who living abroad join the Gardaí. No mention of the Irish here joining. Yeah, I noticed that, by the way. They were like, oh, we'll entice people home. So you'll entice people from other countries, so that means foreigners, and you'll entice people home. I'm not sure about that. Don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, like I said earlier on, I ain't gonna obey anyone that's not from this country. Not interested in it at all. And the fact that Drew Harris is still running around in the job that he's in, and there's a Canadian one as well too that's up around the top echelons of the Gardaí. The fact that they're even still there baffles me. You know, absolutely baffles me. But it doesn't really, if I'm being honest with you, because if I'm being honest, it's all part of the one gang. Chris Quirk, where are we there now? Was it now? Raymond Paul says the president holds no power in politics, Ninja. That's not true. The president holds a lot of power and signing stuff in. You see, if we had a president in there that was for the Irish people, these people would find it much more difficult to get things through. Like, for example, the sniffles stuff that had to be signed by Michael D. Higgins. Imagine you had a fella in there that's like, what's that you're telling me to do? Lock down the country because of the sniffles? Get out. And that would be a big thing. Do you know what I mean? Meanwhile, you had your man there sitting there going, I'll sign whatever because I don't know what he'll say about me. You know? Allegedly, expectedly. But you need someone in there that's going to be like, what's that you want to do? No, not doing that. You want me to sign in stuff there, and you're telling me that you want to target Irish people with that, with what they're saying, but you have the doors open? Nah. No, not having that. I'm looking out along the chat. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the guards about too. And I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't know how someone that goes out in uniform comes home and looks at themselves in the mirror with what's going on. Do you know what I mean? I could see a lot of them as well. As I said, in Phil's stream last week, and I said there's a few of them there that look uncertain. But what did make me take note was the mouthy ones were the very ones that are opposing our own people. So the people that are uncertain should be saying something and saying, hang on here for a second. You give that over. That's bang out of order. you know. And so what if the superintendent is giving out to you? Like, is it really worth it? Is it worth it? You see and understand what's going on? I don't think it is. Personally, I don't. Let's keep it through the chat. A lot of people talking about Joe in the chat there. Isn't the fact that he's still running around America running the show just baffles me again. I'm like, law enforcement's just sitting on the sidelines for 2 years. That's great. That's great. And a lot of people now starting to ask questions. They're like, what about when Donald was in? How come he didn't sort any of this out? Yeah, you're on the right track here, guys, because asking those questions are really important, you know? Chrome says, Ninja Knight, did you ever play the Transformers 4, the Cybertron and War for Cybertron games? Yeah, love them. Fantastic games. Very, very solid. Wish they would do some sort of remaster them. It'd be phenomenal. Klopp Allen says, Ninja, you're one amazing person. Great sense of humor. Thank you. Oh, not at all. Just like to have a laugh and point some of this stuff out and just have a laugh for everyone that's here in the chat. Thank you guys for being in here. Joey Lawless in here says, the banking regulations prevent anyone outside of the establishment from setting up their own bank. Interesting one there. Interesting one. Must look into that a little bit more. But that, I mean, that would make sense, you know what I mean? A rigged game as such. And Revolut then as well, starting to enter the Irish market. The reason why Revolut are entering and why they're not facing any sort of opposition is because why it's all digital, it's all online. You know what I mean? It's really easy to see in my view. That's just my humble opinion. So yeah, that would make sense then where they don't want to establish something that could take away from the others, but also at the same time, then they're like, oh, Revolut can come in. Well, that's just moving towards where you want to go. Because I guarantee you, next year, the year after, they'd be like, Revolut's profits are up so much and they're doing the right thing. Maybe that's the best thing to do. Look at the branches around the place. Branches are devoid of people nowadays. Very little people in them working in them. And you're just on a self-service or you're ringing a phone to someone else and they're telling you what to do. It's just... the lack of personal touch is now starting to get to people. People are like, no, I've had enough of this here now. I've seen a post there today. I know I'm on a ramble here. I know I said I'd finish something like 30 minutes ago, but look. And they're talking about the self-scanning shopping. And people are starting to get irate with that now. They're like, I'm going around doing the self-scanning and now someone's harassing me to look through my entire bag with my receipt when I've done your job for you. I'm not doing it anymore is what they're saying. And they're like, I'm walking straight out the door. Not interested. So that's going to be interesting to see going forward when you see people that are just going to take that sort of attitude, which is, well, where's the convenience in this? Personally, myself, I'm a checkout fiend. I will wait in a queue, no problem, and make sure that the person on the till is doing the job. That's just me. That is just me. We have Sheepdog that says Ninja for the late show. I've seen some of the commentary around that. Like, oh, there's no way that they will put in a man again. Well, it's worked to your benefit there, guys, hasn't it really? You've put in one of the most milquetoast, uninteresting people for the last couple of years that's just been absolutely harangued in Ryan Tubridy. And you're like, well, what we're going to do is put a woman in there. Who's the odds? What's the odds on Emer O'Neill? I'd say that's probably high, isn't it? Miriam O'Callaghan, did she say that she would rule herself out? Did she say she ruled herself out? That was the early rumour. Claire Bourne was another one as well that they were talking about. But you know who we wouldn't be surprised to see because she's done enough pandering for them over the last few years is your woman, Ciara Kelly off News Talk. I wouldn't be shocked at that now. I wouldn't be shocked at her being one of those. I wouldn't be shocked at Emer O'Neill or Ciara Kelly. I really wouldn't because it looks like they're gearing up towards either of them. Who would I say? I'd say that they're probably aiming for Emer O'Neill more so. You know? I really do. Watch this space. Satirical Soldiers in here says, Ninja Knight, great show as usual, buddy, and great activity in the comment section. This Gonzo production is absolutely flying it. Keep an eye on those technical issues, mind you. We need you. I will do. Thanks very much, man. Much appreciated. Saw there on Off Grid Ireland during the week. You did a great job. And fair play to Off Grid Ireland. They do great work as well. Big shout outs for Satirical in the chat. The chat absolutely loves Satirical. Great to see. Eamon Barr says, Ninja is a legend. God bless and thank you. Much appreciated, man. And you people in here are highly appreciated by me. Thank you very much. And everyone that's watching live and after the fact. We're nearly up on time there. People slagging Sheepdog in slagging the Sheepdog in the chat. Frank Barron says, I do watch the Lotus Eaters when they realised how bad things have happened in Ireland and how they were despondent. The thing about the Lotus Eaters, where a lot of people do talk to me about that, and they just say, like, these guys are like, hang on here for a sec. We're British. You fought off the British for centuries, and you've handed the keys over to foreigners in less than 100 years. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. Leon Gordon says, just a shout out to you all. Thanks so much for being here. The channel wouldn't be the same without you all. Fully agree with you there, Leon. Our Friday crew, I love it. Ninja Night, give a build a bus to all on here. Absolutely big build a bus to everyone. And thank you to the mods. Very, very important that you guys are in here. I really appreciate it. Jerry Ayers says, great podcast, Ninja. Love the content. I heard Stephen Bedford is going to be Godfather. Godperson for Paul Murphy's baby. That's a good one. It's a good show. That's absolutely hilarious. Earl Grey says, Ninja Night, thanks for your humour. Thank God. Good night. Good night indeed. A lot of people saying good night. It's great to see. And people in here saying goodbye. I think I'm nearly catching up on the chat now. I'm 10-4 down. Leon Curtis says, need another mod Ninja Night. The lads seem to have pissed off always. Leave me. I recommend Sean Mack. I'll do that. Where's Sean Mack? Hang on. See if I can get him. Hang on. Give me a sec, Leon. Just give me a second. Here's Sean Mack. That actually it is important to note that, and I appreciate that, Leon, because I'm adding Sean Mack there as a moderator. There we go. Yeah, it is very helpful because you do get a couple of goofballs in here and stuff like that. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, people say, "How come you want to talk and with goofballs?" The goofball's always going to be a goofball. You're not going to change their minds. Forget about it. Richard McKevitt says, "Ninja Night, what was the score of the last game Liverpool played in Old Trafford? 7-0. Great game from Liverpool. Liverpool were excellent. United, not so much." Sheepdog says, Ninja Night, can you remove the Old Star and whatever equal if I support, that's my business. I don't know what that means. Not sure. Sheepdog, I don't know why people are taking the mickey away. You're doing a great job in there. Ninja Night, thanks for another great laugh. You're very welcome, 100%. Let's have a look here. Ninja Night, do you think if Radgar became president, he would open up the Ross? I love the humour. Lucky Kumbele, people are talking about. Yeah, that's a fella that should have been bounced out of this country years ago and out there. He's talking about people that are facing deportation. Sheepdog says it doesn't matter who they put in place. RTE is not for the people. Ninja Night, and that's a fact. Absolutely agree. Ninja Night, I'm after being on an all-inclusive 2-night holiday and ringing Skiddy. Just got back and you're still blowing it out of you. You're a blessing, brother. Thank you for good words. No problem at all. These streams used to last 3 and 4 hours, man. It took the mick at one point. It really did. Leon Curtis, I'm getting to the end now, though. Oh, thanks, Ninja Night. Sean Mack is a good man, involved so much. Absolutely, totally agree with you as well. 100%. Okay, guys. Great to see, anyway. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Have a good weekend. God bless. Look after yourselves and enjoy. And as always, stay happy, stay positive. Love those around you and wake up as many people as possible. Let them know about what's about to happen. All right. Talk to you later. Good luck.